Hello and welcome to the Saladcast on Saturday, the 18th of February 2012. I'm your host Dan Trey, joining me today, Zachary Berger and Rob Glacial Camp. What was it, Glacial Spoon? I can never remember.
Well, Glacial Spoon's my handle.
That was the
original
It's the long
one.
version. You don't
It's
use
the
the
long
whole
version.
thing.
Yeah. Glacial's the cool version.
It's like Zeg is not technically... That's the shortened version
Of Zego.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And why were you called Zego?
Because it rhymes with Lego.
And it's got a Z.
That was it.
And it's got a Z in it, which is in your real name.
That's how we came up with that shit.
Zego.
We can't even
I can't
say...
believe that caught on at all. How did Zeg manage to actually catch on?
Because it's convenient.
Yeah.
It's short.
How do you get... you came up with Zego, so how did you get us to say it?
I don't know.
How does that work?
Happened.
Surely, because
We can't
have to
even
be
say
assigned to people by other people.
Well, it might have been at the time of original Happy Salad, and we started just writing that.
Well, it's
shit
because we needed a nickname to be our logo for each of our individual games, and I didn't really have one at the time.
Oh yeah.
Well, you became Zeg the Brick after a while, didn't you?
Yeah.
But that was a lot
for
later.
other reasons.
That wasn't that much later. Again, that was because of the website, because we had to write those bios.
Oh, that was a disaster.
through
I actually
each other.
looked at those again. They're horrible. We're really nasty to each other for no reason on the internet, and nobody cares. So
We can't even say your nickname because we'd have to bleep it.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? What was mine?
I'm not going to say it.
What was it other than Dr. Nick?
Oh, you said it.
Why would we do
Copyright
that?
infringement.
There's nothing copyright infringing
Well,
about saying...
under Soper People or Actor, it might be.
Oh no! I have to take down our whole
website.
website along with the rest of the internet. Bye.
Man,
It was mainly copyright infringement because you used a picture of Dr. Nick as your logo.
Yeah.
It was like, that's slightly more.
and
But-
still do.
Well, that's allowed.
As an
I
icon.
I even
Yeah.
got invited to a group on Steam of Simpsons avatar gamers. That's the only one. I usually don't accept any of those invites, but that one I was like, well, yeah, okay, fair enough.
I never deleted your character on Eve, who is Dr. Nick, with proper spacing and everything. Because it's like, that is... I can't get rid of that. I have to keep that forever.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
Can't let anyone have that though.
yeah. What can I do with that?
Nothing, because it's on my account. Well, I could
Oh, yeah.
I guess now you can do character traits, so I could theoretically get it off my account.
Oh, cool. That's cool. Interesting.
Not really.
So then, shall we do the news?
Yes.
To the news!
What's going on?
I have news.
Oh yeah,
Not really that very much of a news, but it was something I read on Steam and then read.
a news. See, a news.
Yeah,
Not
just,
much of news.
just a single news.
It's a single news.
A news?
It's like I saw it on Steam and then I went no because it was they announced the Civilization 5 first proper DLC.
Oh, yeah?
Is going to put religion and spies in. It's like again, you motherfuckers.
What? What's
Because
wrong
they
with that?
took it out of 5 because it was in 4 and they were like, no, too complex, and then they're putting it back in as an expansion.
Well, it
Like,
should.
God fucking damn it.
Well, it should be there because spies were awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And religion was
and
quite an
religion's
interesting
awesome.
system as well.
So
And so they took it out and then they're putting it back in from DLC.
So basically, we were right!
Yep.
yeah,
I'm sure we said that at the time, several times.
I'll just wait 3 years and then Civ 5 will actually be in a good,
In a pack,
in an
yeah.
awesome state. The thing about Civ is it doesn't date that quickly.
No.
Civ 4 is still awesome.
Yeah.
So I'll just be waiting for that. And also, since I get it, I'll be playing for
A million hours.
a million hours. So yeah,
You need the time.
exactly. Well,
Well, you need less other games to play. When there's a gap.
how long do
There
you
ever is a
think
gap.
Civ 5 plus this expansion is in a Steam sale for £20 or something?
Well, the expansion
end of
isn't out
this
yet, so... Well, yeah, by the end of this year, probably.
Do you think?
Assuming it comes out this year, which is likely since they're announcing it now.
Okay, that sounds
Quite a long
sounds
time. There's
reasonable.
been quite a big gap between its launch.
Well, they've been making all those shitty expansions. Like the ones
crappy
where it's just like
DLCs.
a single Civ and some maps or whatever.
Do people go in for that stuff?
Well, apparently, otherwise they wouldn't be making so many of them.
I suppose, yeah. It's not like Sims expansions or anything, though. It's not wildly popular, I imagine.
No. But
I
then...
think most people would be relatively sensible with that shit.
You'd think, but they never are. People are never sensible with anything.
Then again, people actually buy the Magicka maps, which are like £1 a map or something.
That's
It's like but only for the. It's like Magicka's main stuff is the campaign shit, of which they've only done one.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, 2 DLCs perhaps.
It's the Vietnam one, isn't it?
There's the Vietnam one, which is
That's not really
it's
a
not
campaign,
really
though, is it?
campaign. No, it's more of a sort of like a horde mode.
Oh, right,
And they have done one sort of proper DLC. I forget what it's called. Something to do with the sky, I think. Oh, the stars are left.
Sky.
That was it. The stars are left. For some, I don't even know what that's supposed to be, no parody or whatever. But
It's a noir thing, isn't it? So
that was their campaign
Magical
DLC.
Noir.
What?
Magical Noir.
Noir.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Apparently. Haven't played it yet,
Sounds
so we don't know.
So you're annoyed because it should have been in game.
Because it was exactly what we predicted would happen.
But
They simplify things, take things out, and then put them back in as
Well, it
cash.
happens in a cycle, because did Civ 4 definitely added some stuff with expansions?
Yeah.
What did it add? Was Spice in it in the first game, in Civ 4?
I
Base
don't
Civ
think
4.
so.
Yeah, so it's the exact same cycle.
Yeah.
Right.
So for those that didn't buy into the DLC of Civ 4, they won't be missing anything.
Yeah, but by the
The
time...
Warlords and stuff was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was like
wasn't it?
the actual other things apart from that it added were pretty cool.
Yeah. Are they talking about anything else for this one?
The other thing that was important about the Civ 4 ones was they actually fixed various things in the actual game. Like auto workers and all that shit was in those patches, wasn't it?
Whereas Civ 5's already fine.
Pretty good to start with. Yeah.
Okay, well that gives them more scope to make stuff good.
Make stuff they should have already put in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the DLC argument in general, right there. I suppose.
Well, it's the same. It's like it's only worse because it's literally stuff that was in the by the end of the last game. It was, and they just took it out. You could understand it if it was like we're simplifying it because they were simplifying it to make it an easier game for the masses or whatever.
No,
but then of course they put it straight back in DLC. Bastards.
But they're never going to make the combat more complex by having. Well, I mean, because your proposal was to go somewhere between the two systems and have a limited stack of 3 on a square.
Well, they virtually had that system in Civ 4 because they had those army things where you could put multiple units into a single army and they acted as one unit.
Yeah.
So it's like you could just put that in Civ 5. Have use the generals instead of an individual unit. Use them to group a series of units onto one square.
And then you can move them around on the one square.
Yeah.
But in Civ 4, presumably you could have multiple armies.
Yeah,
you
could.
It's just retarded. Did it have a limit on how many units you could put on one square?
I don't think so.
No. So yeah. So some kind of halfway house would be quite good, I think.
In theory.
Yeah,
maybe someone will mod it.
I think they did that in Civ Revolution or whatever it's called.
The simple one.
Yeah,
the
I think they
mobile
had one. I don't think they had stacking.
Well, no, it didn't. But that is simpler, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's
so
far simpler.
But when they put that exact system into Civ 5, no stacking at all, it's was a step too far, possibly, for simplification.
Do we know if the console version got rid of it as well?
Well, that was Civ Rev, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know, but I was thinking about the mobile Civ Rev because that's the one.
No, I think they're the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the trouble with those, I played Civ 5 relatively recently, so I guess this is
that's true.
Relevant. But the trouble with the no stacking in Civ 5 is that the range units, like the archers, always have range 2, which means if you're attacking a city, it's city square, melee unit square, archer square. You can't have anything else. And because you can't stack ever, you have to be really careful moving your army. You have to make sure everyone walks at the same speed, or otherwise they all start jamming each other's spaces and shit.
Yeah, it just sounds a bit too restrictive. They should just loosen it up a bit.
Unless you upgrade unless your range units get enough experience to get one of the later unlocks is 3 square range. Holy shit. But that's actually ridiculous because when you think about the actual scale of the world, it's
map. Fire arrows for that old catapult for bleed miles.
Artillery has 3 ranges standard though. Once you get to the modern age,
that sounds reasonable. I mean, artillery in real life does have ridiculous range, doesn't it?
I guess if you got that information on that, you could have 4 range. Maybe I don't know if they have that same promotion.
Do you get more range for terrain? If you're on a hill, do you get more range?
I don't think so. You get more power.
Right.
And also hills block your view if you're not on a hill.
Right.
Where it's you can't shoot over them.
Yeah.
So it limits you to 1 range, which is even worse.
Yeah, fair enough. So yes, Civ 5. So you'll be getting that inevitably.
No, I won't.
Yeah, you will.
Not unless it gets incredibly cheap.
Yeah. I predict.
It will do. There'll be a Civ 5 DLC weekend or something.
It's not even out yet. We don't know how much it's going to cost.
$1 billion. Do you have an ETA on that?
No, I didn't really read I only read like the title of it, and it was
And
like,
they were so annoyed.
Yeah, that was my singular news.
Any other newses that anyone cares about?
You know what? I think it's been a pretty shit week for news, really. I mean, other than all the Vita reviews coming out and being... Well, actually, that's probably news in itself. Vita's lineup, and it actually seems pretty strong for a console launch. That's actually not bad.
I don't know if it's actually as good as the... Well, it's actually comparable to the original PSP because it's got Lumines and it's got
exactly the same games.
Well, that's the thing; they're the same because like those the innovations in Lumines, the whole concept, and also Wipeout Pure was quite different.
It was pretty much a revamp of the series, which was good after they misstepped with Wipeout Fusion.
Exactly, it had the where you would recharge your ship by absorbing.
The absorbing stuff was there, and the barrel rolls were there.
Barrels, all that new stuff. 2048 is the same as that. Basically, the things that have changed aren't much. Whereas,
but
like the same games.
Back then, when those were with the possible inclusion of Ridge Racer being the other one, with those being like the only good games on launch. At least this time there's a few more added in, such as another remastering of the first Ninja Gaiden.
We got quite a few games that
and Uncharted.
Uncharted isn't meant to be that.
Well, it's not supposed to be the console Uncharted, but it's supposed to be good, as in it's the best example of that genre on a handheld.
I'd be interested
but way too must use every single type of control.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, you're on a beam, you must use the balancing gyroscope.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit.
There's a new Katamari, which is the same as other Katamaris, but I'd still be interested.
Can't really do anything with that concept.
But with one new... They've added a mechanic.
They have.
It's like, holy shit, they've added something to Katamari. I still don't think it'll be as good as the one they did on PS2. We love Katamari. Well, the original was on PS2, but the second Katamari game that they actually got a European release is the best because it had more than any other game in the series. It had more sort of side challenges.
Yeah,
like things that were a bit different.
Where you moved around. Didn't it? Was that the second one? We love Katamari, where you walked your little guy.
Oh yes,
that was
and it was like a field.
Yeah,
and made a stupid noise.
Yeah,
that was the important thing, obviously.
Well, this new one I've seen has the menu is one of the cylinders on the side of the King of Cosmos head, and you can scratch it with the touchscreen. It makes the wiggle wiggle sound, which is clearly awesome.
Basically, make him talk.
Yeah. So that's clearly awesome.
King of all Cosmos. They do need to do something more with that because Katamari. They need to. That's the thing. Is like, what can you do?
The guy who originally made it, he gave up after the first one, didn't he? Because he was like, "Oh, it's done. What else can you do?"
Yeah.
And then they were like, "Well, we have a license."
And then they were like, "Oh, we love Katamari because we'll make a sequel because everyone fucking loves it."
Loves Katamari,
and literally say that in the game.
And then that was the best one of the series, admittedly, because they did mix it up a bit. But then, they haven't changed since. And in fact, they got more boring with the. What was the one on PSP called?
Oh, I can't remember, but I did.
It had Katamari in the title.
Yeah.
Of course it did.
And there was the Xbox one, which again I can't remember the name of, but it's behind us, I think.
Really?
Let's have a look. Where is it? Or have I mysteriously misplaced it? I think I've misplaced it.
Okay. Was that not on live?
Kippers might have it. No. It was a full release.
Oh, really?
But there was one on Xbox 360, and that again was simple compared to We Love Katamari,
which was the height of the series. Yeah.
Definitely.
And I think that guy that made it after he made the first one, he gave up making games, I think he
made Nobby
Boy. Yeah. But the first thing he did after he finished it was he started designing playgrounds for children.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
It's kind of cool. Anyway,
crazy fucking.
You found it.
Yeah, obviously it's fucking Katamari guy.
Let's go on the Katamari go round, and we'll never ever leave. Was it Games Radar had the best opening part of Katamari? It's like the concept of Katamari is possibly the most horrific thing ever thought of, where a giant ball will roll up children and parents and workers and the entire population of the Earth, so the King of all Cosmos can eat them and make a star.
Yeah,
but nobody cares. Moving on.
Yes, it's just a crazy game. So yeah,
nom nom. I've made you stars out of the bones of your child. Nom.
Nom.
And there's also Rayman Origins on the Vita, which is the same
Rayman
as
Origins.
Rayman Origins, which is awesome.
No bad thing. No.
Yeah.
And possibly better because you can't play multiplayer on the same screen, presumably.
I don't know. I wonder if it supports multiplayer at all.
Well, that's what I meant. But
Maybe you can.
I was going to say you can't play multiplayer, but then I thought maybe it does have some kind of networked multiplayer. But they won't be all on the same screen, so that will probably help.
Now, should we
No,
talk
that's
Wipeout though? Because
Well, we haven't played it.
no, but judging from the review side of it, it's like everyone. And we were talking about this off air before we began. That the reviews are coming in sort of complaining about actually complaining about the frame rate not being the same as the PS3 version, and saying that it's like the frame rate is a disappointment, and it's like the one on the PS3 was the only one in the series to have a 60 frames per second frame rate. So it's like, have all the other games up to this point been flawed because of it? It's like, I don't know. It seems a weird sort of judgment to make
thing to say, yeah.
when it's always been like that.
Well, up to this point, they've not really been capable of making it 60.
But it is true that
The older consoles could handle it so much.
the high frame rate does benefit Wipeout more than other types of games.
Oh, definitely.
Like if you look at F-Zero as well, they always had the high frame rate. So
Yeah,
it's
don't get me wrong. It should be.
it
60,
feels like
but
Wipeout ought to be 60. Where
in the
other
same way that
games-
Sonic should always be 60, but Sega always dropped that ball.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like no one expects Uncharted to be 60, do they? But that's fine.
No.
It's because it's a different kind of game. So.
Plus, there's a certain cinematic feel to 30 frames per second.
Yeah, literally, because
Yeah.
it's close to the 24 frames per second of cinema, which is really low.
Yep.
Yeah, isn't The Hobbit
Surprisingly
being
low.
filmed in like 50 frames per second or something?
I have no idea.
It's in 3D, but it's also in double frame rate.
Ooh, interesting.
Apparently, I don't know who will be projecting it in that format. But,
No, I doubt anyone.
But it is being filmed that way for potential future.
Forward thinking.
Yeah, so
We
that's,
like.
that's kind of cool. Yes, Wipeout.
Yeah. Other than that, it's been a pretty shit week for Fortnite, even for news, I think.
You hear about the Kickstarter stuff?
Oh, I couldn't remember if that was too long enough ago. But yeah, how Notch is funding Psychonauts 2.
Well, that was the first thing that happened.
Well, he said that, and then the Double Fine guys replied with you should wait a couple of days and see what happens. And then that was because they were about to do the Kickstarter thing.
Yeah.
It was like, whoops.
Oh dear. So
Kind of jumped the gun there.
Yeah, exactly.
Without knowing.
So what happened is he said, I could totally fund Psychonauts 2. And then they had the Kickstarter thing, which was, we want to make an indie game. Will you just back us by donating? And they wanted $400,000.
Yeah.
And they
made
got
$1 million.
over $1 million. It's like
2 million
1.6
by now,
million.
almost.
Yeah, $2 million. And so they're trying to work out what they can do with that. Because it was interesting. I saw an interview and he was saying what the relative budgets of different games were. And he was saying they were getting close to... adjusted for inflation, they were close to a Monkey Island, one of the original Monkey Island games kind of budget.
Stacking was like 2 million.
Yeah, exactly. Or Stacking or Costume Quest were about 2 million or something.
Yeah.
They're both those kind of relatively small Xbox Live Arcade games.
I still find it amazing that games like that cost that much to make.
So it goes up to so they're really excited. So they can make a really cool. They're going to make a point and click adventure, fully voiced and everything. They can do now. They can afford it with that $2 million or whatever. So they can make, but it'll only be a short one like Stacking. But it'll be awesome. But Psychonauts 2. He started talking to Notch about the actual reality of it, and the reality of it is that budget would be $20 million. And he's like, whoa, actually, hang on a sec, maybe I can't quite afford it.
You're just going to get some other people in.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Well,
what
it could well happen. I mean, maybe they
Get 2 or 3 other backers as well.
Well, at the very least, it might actually show that I don't know why. Presumably, Double Fine are having difficulty and have been having difficulty for a very long time for someone to actually fund the making of that game, despite Psychonauts 1 being such a critically acclaimed title.
Yeah.
So they must be, for some reason, struggling to get publishers to agree. And maybe, every
Nobody
time
wants
someone
to.
says, "I'll do it," then it's perhaps like a sign to the publishers that there is a want for it.
Well,
Do you guys have publishers never played Psychonauts? I mean, really?
Yeah, but they didn't sell, so why would they care if it was good?
Well, in fairness, because it wasn't exactly marketed strongly, was it? It was one of those kind of.
Well,
The problem with Psychonauts was most people picked up on it after the event. It's like I only played it like a good few years after it came out and things like that. I didn't even really know about it until a good while after its release.
The thing is, it's not just Psychonauts. Every Double Fine game has been disappointing financially. Oh well, arguably. Certainly the big ones. Brutal Legend also didn't sell. So it's like, it's a track record if you're looking at it from a
Perhaps
business perspective, which is a shame. But I think they could make a big hit easily. As you know, they just need to get it. I don't know. I think it could be done because Brutal Legend was kind of flawed.
Yeah, whereas Psychonauts was only flawed because it was their first attempt at a game of that scale, I guess.
To be honest, it seems like the things that are messing up their games are the kind of things that the publishers are probably pressuring them into doing. Like the combat stuff and the RTS stuff in Brutal Legend wasn't its strength. Its strength was that it was hilarious and awesome.
And they should have stuck to that more.
And the same with Psychonauts, like it is a slightly dodgy platformer in places.
But
coupled to an awesome, hilarious...
They do kind of need to make a game.
Yeah, that's the
they
thing.
can't just make a hilarious thing to watch.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, a Click Adventure is that there would be their
it's
standards.
entirely comedy without much game.
But of course, no one will ever make one of those. Well, big publisher will ever make a point-and-click adventure because they're like, no, that genre is dead. No one's made one for. I suppose maybe now you've got LA Noire and Heavy Rain coming along.
And Telltale have always been doing pretty well.
That's true.
With
They're
that,
doing their own thing, and
although Telltale have almost saturated the goddamn market now.
I suppose
It's like their last few entries haven't exactly been stellar.
And I don't think they can be making the big bucks. The Telltale, don't they? I think they just roll along.
Perhaps.
Yeah, but. But I think they can do it. They can make an awesome full budget game sometime soon.
Plus, they've got Double Fine have got the other release coming out soon, haven't they? The sort of family
Happy Action Theatre.
That's the one.
Oh right, okay.
Which is a Connect-based family title, similar.
Oh, they've got so many little titles.
Yeah,
that seems to be their focus.
Well,
now.
I don't know. Do you consider this Once Upon a Monster a little title, really? A full-blown Connect thing?
Still not that big though.
Yeah, bigger budget though.
Yeah, much bigger budget.
Yeah,
I don't think it was that much bigger. It wasn't as big as...
It's bigger than Stacking anyway, or something
Not
like
much
that.
bigger. I think it was like 5 or 6 minutes or something.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway.
Can't remember.
But anyway, Tim Schafer, hilarious and awesome guy. And
Yeah, do more stuff.
there was quite a funny image, the picture of him at his computer, like looking
Shocked.
So someone put it next to the Fry meme. Shut up and take my money, that one. And he's like, okay, like this, looking shocked in front of the computer.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. So yeah,
I'll get around to. We should probably get around to playing Iron Brigade at some point.
Yeah, I want to get that.
It
still.
does look cool.
I still haven't. I haven't turned on my Xbox, so I haven't got my gold renewed at all since like Christmas or whatever it was. So, at some point, I will have to reconnect. I was thinking,
hasn't it renewed itself automatically?
Well, it tried to, remember, but then my card was out of date. And I'm sure it had the info for my new card, but it obviously didn't want to switch over without asking.
Yeah,
or something.
I guess.
Anyway,
I think you have to specify which is your
primary card or something. That's what I probably failed to do or something. Anyway, so I'll get that sorted out. Well, I was thinking, I'm going to have to for Mass Effect 3 if I'm going to carry on my save. But I found a tool on a forum that allows you to convert the 360 save into a PC save so I can have the nice graphics.
Oh!
Yeah, somebody made it. Apparently it works both ways as well. You can go the other way if you want.
But the Chivos... And I
You think Games for Windows Live achievements?
No, because it's Origin.
It's Origin. Oh,
It might still be Games for
it
Windows.
might be, yeah, I suppose.
I doubt it.
Well, the last one was, and that was on Steam.
I
It's
really,
But
still a
I
direct
really
customer.
doubt it. If EA are trying to push Origin, they probably won't merge with any other system.
Mass Effect Chivos aren't that interesting though, as Chivos go.
Well,
No,
they're
but
just,
you
they're
get
just
loads of
annoying
them.
grind.
Yeah.
You don't get that many because they're
You got
like,
loads
play
of
the
them.
game 3 goddamn times.
Like the first one.
Yeah.
The first one was quite evil with them, in fairness. But the second one, you got like 770 points for a single playthrough,
Yeah.
sort of easily.
But how many
Yeah.
of them will be multiplayer this time? That's the other question.
Quite a few, I expect.
No, I'm not so sure. I don't think they'll put too much of an emphasis on it.
I don't know. That's
People are
their new
suggesting
thing.
that it's supposedly actually quite good as a
Yeah.
multiplayer game. I don't
Is
know.
that in the demo that's come out, multiplayer?
Yeah.
The demo's multiplayer. I don't know. I can't help but think that the multiplayer will just be a shallow experience of what other games already offer.
That's what
I have a problem with like it feels like a gimmick already. And I haven't even played the fucker.
But it plays, I mean, it obviously plays differently because the way you move in Mass Effect isn't like first person legging around all the time. It's like really slow and chunky.
That's why I'm not entirely sure it'll work, because let's be honest. That like those put the movement systems of those sort of games to perfection. Gears does to perfection. Mass Effect has always been relatively clunky.
It was a lot better in the second one.
It's still a lot better, but it's still quite clunky.
But then that's why they're going on. It's like, this is the one that's meant to be mostly shooter and not like less RPG.
That's true.
Because it's all about shooting.
So I actually watched the first 20 minutes of Mass Effect 3 because someone put up a video.
Right.
Eurogamer did or whatever. So it gives you the start of the story and everything. But it was on 360. It does look a little bit rough around the edges, but then every 360 game does, I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
It looked a bit...
I don't know how much better it was going to look compared to Mass Effect 2.
No, it didn't.
But that's a fine-looking game anyway, so, you know.
Yeah, that is a good-looking game. I don't know. Maybe it was just the scene that they
And the other
painting.
thing is Mass Effect to me is a couch game. You know? It's one of those things that I sit down and I play on the big screen and I get immersed. I find it difficult to have that same sensation.
Well, you know, if you ever bothered to connect your PC to your TV, you could do that with Steam and with better graphics power.
And before long, they're going to be launching the...
How cooking, like impractical is that, really?
I don't know. They're making that interface for Steam with the big thing and not, console interface, aren't they?
Yeah, it's coming soon.
I'm more not talking about the software side of it. The software side of it's fine. You can rig it up somehow.
Yeah.
It's the impracticability of having a PC connected to your lounge television.
You have them in the same room.
But I need to run a ridiculously long cable to it, or I have to lift the thing up and move it. It's not. Yeah. It's not practical for that reason. It's
just because of the configuration of your doors in your house.
It's the fact that I have to set it up every time I'd want to do it. I'd have to either run a ridiculous cable, which is probably not going to work over that distance. Let's be honest, not great. I don't think DVI carries that far.
Yeah, that would
round the room.
I think you're right. It is difficult.
But... And then the alternative is to move my PC when I want to do it. The only good solution to this is buy a PC, which I don't have I'm not going to do.
You can just move your PC permanently.
Exactly.
Swap that chair there and swap the PC there.
No.
There you go.
Just no.
So basically, Rob is too ingrained in his PC positioning.
No, it's not just that. It's like. Well, there's some very good reasons why you don't have the PC next to the telly. Is so you can see the telly when you're on the PC. If I'm parallel to it, I have no viewing angle.
Right. Why do you want to look at the TV while you're at your computer?
Because, there's sometimes there's stuff on while you're doing stuff.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
And more importantly, Zach's spot is in the wrong place. You can't sit there and have access to YouTube or whatever
while you're
watching television or
But I don't do two things at once.
But you sit there.
Then I'd be sitting in that chair there.
But then you don't have the PC. So but you specifically sit in the wheelie chair.
That's true. I do prefer the wheelie chair.
Nobody cares.
All I'm saying is that at the moment, PCs as a home entertainment hub, essentially, because that's essentially what you're turning it into to do that, is impractical.
I will be trying it the moment I get a TV, but it won't be for a while. But that's how I will be doing it.
I did used to do it for a while at uni with my laptop, admittedly, for playing certain videos across it that, or YouTube, for instance, where when there wasn't an interface that worked that well on the big screen. But even that's kind of finicky. If it was a laptop, it would be okay, but because that's slightly less hassle to move about. But
yeah. Anyway,
I don't know.
I find it hilarious. Vinny keeps talking about playing Skyrim on the PC on his massive TV, but in order to have quick save, he has to have his keyboard next to him. So he's playing it with the 360, and then he's pressing F5 on the keyboard on the couch every 5 seconds.
That's not really that unusual.
I know, but it's just
you
funny.
Have your keyboard there anyway.
Yeah, you would.
The TV is your main monitor.
You would, but it's just a funny image of play because you can't.
Well, you could just bind it and you could just auto hotkey it or something.
You'd have
like a button.
No, because I tried that and to a button on the controller.
Yeah,
I couldn't intercept the controller outputs with auto hotkey. I couldn't.
Why not? It should. I mean, it's not like it's a specific interface for the Xbox controllers, is it? Because it just uses the
Joy 1 or
regular control family.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, that's why. But the thing is, all those things are bound, and there's a lot of functions in Skyrim. You wouldn't want to lose.
You'd have to press it as like multiple at the same time somehow.
Oh, maybe. Squeeze everything together and it saves. Like, click both the thumbsticks and pull both the triggers to quick save. Clench! Anyway.
That used to be the way to reset Final Fantasy, I seem to remember. The older ones. If you clench like most of the buttons on the PlayStation pad, it would go reset.
That was like on quite a few of the on the Nintendo ones it was like recenter the stick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mash all the buttons.
Recalibrate the analog stick. Yeah. Anyway, this has been a strange news section. Should we move on?
You're going to make me start thinking about how I could do this feasibly.
I think you can. The thing is, I think you're right about HDMI cables not being long enough without degradation.
Or cheap enough.
Yeah,
well, that too. Well, long ones would be less cheap.
Yeah, that's the trouble. Because the Amazon Basics HDMI are quite cheap, but I don't know if you can get a long enough one. But you could certainly... I don't think you'd have to run a cable every time, because I experimented with my graphics card. I don't know about your one, but I could have plugged mine in, and I could switch the monitor in software without it.
Well, that's precisely why I run a dual monitor setup. I mean,
that's what I mean. In addition, so it's like a third screen.
I don't have a third port.
Yeah, well,
not about a new graphics card.
Okay, fair enough. That's where...
Which is at least £400 for a worthwhile upgrade at the moment.
That's true.
Can you get a splitter of some kind? There's a hardware splitter that you can have on a cable that switches between...
That would be well expensive.
More than a graphics card?
No, not more than the graphics card, admittedly, but they're pricey.
Yeah, you're right. You would probably have to scramble around and switch one of your monitors over with your current graphics card, which would be a pain.
The best approach is buying a whole separate machine and having it sit near your TV.
Yeah, but then you'd have to buy a machine that's powerful enough to run the things you want to play.
Or the alternative would be to clean out the spare room, move all of my computing equipment up there, get a new telly for that room, and put a couch in there.
What the hell?
Well, so you're just going to make a second living room.
Basically, yeah. Genius. This is my game hole.
Game hole. Ew. No.
Well, it would also double as a studio for the podcast.
I think a second graphics card would be cheaper than that. A second telly, a second computer, a second sofa.
Yeah. That is essentially the plan for that room, though.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. But yeah. Anyway, so I will report, because I can run 3 monitors from my one graphics card, and it was quite easy to switch one of them to the TV. So all I had to do was if I had the HDMI cord taped to the TV but unplugged, all I had to do was plug it in,
and
it would go ding, and it would run the sound through the HDMI. The graphics card runs the sound through the HDMI.
I'd need a new amp for that to get this around.
There you go.
Yes, but that amp is ancient. You need a new amp for a lot of things that are more complicated.
The amp's not that old.
It's pretty old.
Well, that thing? What's wrong with that? It's fine.
It doesn't do HDMI sound.
Oh. Oh, okay.
It's old enough.
Fair enough.
It's one of those... my amp is retarded. This is going to be so interesting to everyone.
This is so brilliant, yeah.
But my amp is retarded because it has the HDMI badge
logo
on the front, has a couple of HDMI ports on the back, and can do HDMI video switching, but for a sound amplifier, it doesn't actually decode the HDMI sound.
Genius.
It is completely stupid.
Oh, that's epic.
Well done, Sony marketing. You duped me there.
That's really just got to have been a first generation one then.
It was pretty early, yeah. HDMI hadn't really taken off at that point.
Do you think... Carry on with this topic. Do you think when the HDMI sound comes out of my graphics card along the HDMI cable, do you think it's in 5.1, and if I had the right decoder on the end, I could get surround out?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I don't know.
It would depend on the graphics card, do you think, or the protocol or something. I don't know.
See, that's weird. Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, if you had a sound card capable of it, would it route that sound to the HDMI to do it properly?
Yeah.
Or would it be... No, that's interesting.
It is interesting.
A bit of research needed there.
Yeah, because it totally works. The sound transmitted to the TV.
But would it be
stereo? Would it be...
properly decoded? Oh, that's interesting.
So there you go. Interesting times. Yeah.
Let's talk about goddamn games.
So,
how long have we been talking already?
like half an
hour, at least.
Yeah, over half an hour. So, who wants to go first?
You should, because you weren't here last time.
Okay.
Fill in your gap.
I've been playing Skyrim and nothing else. Woo!
I thought you said you were going to finish Batman.
I did. I didn't. I can't wait.
Skyrim all the time.
Skyrim all the way. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do about Batman now. I'll probably, because it's like, I got to end,
stopped.
I literally got to the
problem.
end game and then I stopped. So now if I go back to it, it's probably going to be like really hard. It'll be the hardest part of the game and I will be out of practice because I haven't played it for like...
The classic.
I'm going to start again and do it in hard mode because
You make it sound like neglect. It's like, I don't know what to do with it.
Well, it's like...
I don't know if I put him in a home or...
It was a good game, but I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one and now I'm like...
You don't want to do it
Doing
all
other
again,
stuff,
and
no.
you don't want to carry on from where you were.
I have to leave
It's
it.
the Final Fantasy conundrum.
Yeah, it's a conundrum. And it's not that kind of game either, where it's like really hard to get to the end. It's
No.
quite simple, really. It was, yeah.
It just takes time.
Anyway, I did actually finish it in a dumb way because the credits did roll on me because there's a bit towards the end where you're playing as Catwoman and which is a really cool sequence actually. There should be more Catwoman stuff. I think I like her little music, like blink 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 blink, like thiefy music. It's like really kind of
Sneaky
cool,
music.
sneaky thiefy music.
The sound that came into my head there was more like mall music. That's sort of like
Candyland music.
yeah, like clinky strings.
I don't know how. I think it is plucking a violin or blink, 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 blink. That sound the same. But anyway, so you there's a whole room of guards, and you take them out because you can stick to the ceiling as Catwoman and drop down and take them out and stuff. And you can even crick people's necks with your legs. You know, hang down and get them with your feet, which is kind of cool.
So Catwoman kills.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome. I think she kills.
Breaking
Yeah.
necks, presumably.
Well, I think yeah. Anyway, I think she does kill in the fiction, doesn't she? She is.
Well, she's like totally crazy.
She's
so
mental.
probably.
Anyway, so you steal what you're coming to steal, or going there to steal. And it's a bit weird because Poison Ivy says, "Oh, there's this plant in this safe. Go and get it." When you go to the safe, there's like monies or whatever. There's diamonds, and the plant's there, but it's just like an object. You can't pick it up, and it's obviously not part of the storyline. Obviously, the storyline is she's a bastard. And she doesn't care about Poison Ivy. So she just leaves the plant in there, and so you walk out of the vault. And you go up to the end, and there's a TV screen, and it shows Batman in danger because he's just been captured or whatever. And you've got a choice: you can turn left or turn right. Turn left is go and save Batman. Turn right is like fuck off to Gotham. So I'm like, fuck off. So I turn right and walk out, and it's like screw him. And then the credits roll. End of the game.
Oh right, so you
He's
basically
killed
like,
Batman.
you basically like miss a whole chunk of plot
Well,
essentially,
most
rather than go to an actual.
It's not a proper ending, yeah,
No.
it's way before the actual end. So it's like, you can just end the game at that point. Because I saved beforehand, I thought, well, what happens if I fuck off? Surely that won't actually end the game. And it totally did. I was
So
like,
is that the actual end of
No.
or is that just the Catwoman story? I mean, the bit that's always confused me about the way the game is presented is the Batman story like purely Batman and the Catwoman.
No,
like a
they are
separate thing?
interleaved.
Okay.
And, yeah, interwoven.
So you
don't
play as both throughout the main story?
Yeah.
But wasn't the Catwoman thing like an optional DLC or something?
No,
or?
it's definitely integrated.
It was
Okay.
DLC.
There isn't much of it, but...
It was DLC.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I thought I heard something like that. And that
But it
Oh,
might have
well,
been
maybe
like,
it just plays the cutscene where she turns up and saves you when you didn't have the DLC.
yeah,
perhaps
You
that
didn't
would
have that
make
bit
sense.
of mission, and you didn't have that choice.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, okay. So obviously the
Karen-
DLC is actually clever in the sense that it doesn't play out like a whole separate storyline.
No.
You have to play the whole game.
It's integrated, yeah.
And- oh, interesting. That's
I
clever.
think so.
It's clever, but it's still a bastard.
It's a bit of a bastard.
Especially because it was day one
afterwards.
DLC, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is a bit
and
weird.
free for certain owners, wasn't
It
it?
was one of. It's probably like the Battlefield one, where it's like
Oh, yeah.
lots of people ended up with it somehow.
Well, I just got it on PC just to just have it. I just got it on Steam.
Fuck
so-
only knows.
Anyway, so yeah, that bit was cool. But no, I haven't finished Batman. So anyway,
Skyrim.
Skyrim time. So last time, I hadn't barely knew what the hell I was doing. I think I told you about seeing a dragon flying around in the open and not being able to aggro it at all.
Yeah, that happens.
So that's happened to me. That's the only time that's properly happened where I couldn't get it to fight me.
Yeah.
But there was another time where it was quite hard to get it to fight me. But it was in that plains area next to Whiterun.
Right, yeah.
That seems to be the place. Because any other place is relatively mountainous and they
don't land properly or whatever.
Yeah, they aggro you a bit more, though, in those areas.
Well, yeah, you see them, they fly, because they
At your height,
like
relatively.
glitch up the mountain like, warp.
Yeah, stuff like that. But yeah, immediately after that, I started having proper dragon fights. My first one was like a blood dragon in the marshes area thingy, and that was, it started doing the cool, because it's like there's a double-edged sword with the dragons autonomously attack random things. Because, like, for you it's like, oh, mud crabs, it's got distracted by a bunch of mud crabs, and this is retarded.
Yeah.
But for me, the first time was awesome, because it's like I was having an epic fight with the dragon, and then it ended up having an epic fight with a bear. And so while I was half dead, and I just watched them having an epic fight while I recovered my stamina and stuff. So it was like, this is sweet, and then the dragon killed the bear, and then I ran up and stabbed the dragon. So that was the first time I was like, yes, that's awesome. But then another one later on was a bit more retarded, like your one. In fact, it went on for ages.
Right.
Like, it was by the watchtower, the one where you kill the first dragon.
Yeah.
I just happened to be there, and there was a dragon fighting it again. And of course, there's a river there, so there were mud crabs. So it was fighting the humans on the watchtower. And then when it went over and fought the mud crabs down by the river, and I was running after it. And then there's a mountain next to that, and on the mountain was a frost troll. So then it started fighting the frost troll. I ran up the mountain. I thought, oh, I'll take advantage, like with the bear fight, that they'll fight each other and hurt each other, and then I can deal the crushing blow.
Yeah.
But what actually happened was I could not get it to aggro me because it was so busy with the troll. So I had to go up and kill the troll to get it to get aggro back on me.
Why did you want it that? You should have just stabbed it from behind while it was fighting the troll.
Well, it wasn't landing. It was
it
was just flaming it. So I couldn't get it to land. And even when I killed the troll, it still wouldn't land because it was too mountainous. So I ran back down to the bottom, pulling it, kiting it along. And then it landed, but that was next to, guess what's there? A giant camp.
Yeah.
And then the killing bow was a giant mash.
But it's always good when giants fight dragons, because then you don't have to do anything, because the giants always win.
Always win, yeah. So basically, that was one fight that just went on for like 15 minutes, like several different people attacking this one dragon. And yeah. And of course, the giant kills the dragon, but if you go too close to giants, they aggro on you. So I had to run up, grab the stuff, steal the soul and the loot, and then run the hell out of them before the giant got too annoyed. So yeah, dragon fights are crazy. But now I've leveled to the point where they're too easy, I think, at this point. I only just saw my first... It depends what
ones you get.
Well, that's the thing. I just saw my first Elder Dragon, and that was relatively hard compared to the other ones. But it's got much easier, especially the way that I do things.
Yeah.
Like I use the restoration, the healing magic. So every time they take off, I just heal myself, and then they land. I just stab them, then rinse and repeat. But I did have one fight that was a massive disaster. Like, well, it was quite hard. Earlier on, it was like a frost dragon, and I'd gone up to. It was one of those dragon roost things, or whatever it was, with a word wall.
Yeah,
and so. It took ages. I had to hide behind this rocks in order to avoid the ice blast or whatever of the dragon. I eventually killed it, and so I ran up to the word wall for the wall. And then, of course, out pops a fucking dragon priest guy, Croesus or whatever his name is. I'm like,
found one of them.
Yeah, I've just had a massive fight, and now I'm going to have another massive epic fight immediately.
And those guys are specifically leveled as well.
Yeah, so I ended up having to jip him, because of course that's the tactic, right?
Yeah, if you discover one that's over leveled and you're like, oh fuck, I don't want to remember this and come back, I'll just jip it.
So obviously I was like, right, well, I'm not going to be defeated after that massive fight against that dragon. I'm not going to give up now. So I used unrelenting force to like push him off a cliff into a place where he got stuck, and then I just hit him with arrows for like 10 minutes. Well, he didn't get completely stuck because he did manage to keep hovering, but he didn't seem to be. It seemed to be too steep for him to climb up and start hitting me with his ice blast or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was just like, arrow. Yes, I got the mask of Croesus or whatever it is, and the word or whatever it was. Yeah, that was that. So yeah, I wanted to try and explain what possibly is good about Skyrim, because we talked a lot about all the retarded things that happen in Skyrim. But it's like, well, like, I like the combination, this will be the same as Fallout and stuff, but I never played those games.
Yeah.
But I like the combination of an open world with a first-person perspective, because both those things are immersive, and put together, it's like enforced. Like, I really like Grand Theft Auto and stuff, and I feel really immersed in the world because it's unbroken and you can go anywhere in it or whatever. It's not like linear levels. Whereas first-person games tend to be that way, but they are immersive just because looking through eyes is the most immersive. So if you just combine those two things, which is exactly this, then it's very powerful effect, I think. So that's one thing.
But the trouble with it is that in the open world part of it, because it's such a giant open world, it becomes less immersive because of all the retarded things that they just can't program because there's too much of it, like the AI and stuff being completely dumb.
Yeah, the dumbness of the AI and stuff. And it's like, the trouble is, you couldn't really, well, maybe they could now, but Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead, they look amazing, or whatever, for when they come out, but you still get the feeling that if it was in first person, if you looked at somebody's face, it would look terrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
if you zoomed into the level, which it was at Skyrim's level, then it would look
odd. And Skyrim does hold up relatively quite nicely. It's not the best looking game ever, but it is amazing how you can walk right up to things and they don't look terrible. Especially now, the texture pack makes a noticeable difference.
I didn't really notice it, but then
I think it's.
I didn't play it. I hadn't played it for a while beforehand, so it was I couldn't really remember. But then also that texture pack fucks with my system for some reason.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't makes horrible, like, if you're facing in a certain direction for no reason, the frame rate drops to like 5. Or certain areas just start running at 2 frames a second for no reason at all.
I haven't had any of those.
And you have to quit and reload and then it's okay. It's like it's fucking up the RAM or something somehow.
That's rubbish.
So I had to turn it off again.
For me, it did make a noticeable difference. It was the thing.
The
that
trees
reminded
look better. That was the one thing I did notice. Like the pine trees with all the needles and stuff, much more high detail.
Well, I was just looking at things like a stone wall or something looked better.
All right,
It reminded me of the
just shoving your face up to walls and things, going.
Well, it reminded me of the Source engine, in terms of the sharpness of the new textures.
Yeah, I admit when Source first came out, that was kind of the most impressive thing about it. Was how much it upped the texture detail.
That was good. But I was thinking, so graphically, obviously, it has those. It definitely still has those middle distance problems. And it's such a huge fuss, or whatever. Like, it's like individual effects look cool, like the snow and clouds on mountains look cool. But in general, it probably doesn't look the best.
I still think the flames coming out of dragons look pretty shit.
Yeah. Well, it depends how inflamed
flames are always difficult, but it's the way the flame interacts with the ground is the worst bit. It has the typical sort of Z clipping weirdness. The flame I just think it looks rubbish.
Well, the best thing about that is the sound sells those.
The sound is good. Yeah, I'll give you that. The sound sounds pretty cool, but the flame. Oh.
But I think that one of the best things about it is the design of the things in the world. Like you're saying, like the best thing about the graphics of Skyrim is actually the objects in the loading pauses that you can look at or whatever. Like
they are the most lovely things in the game as loading pauses.
They are in that design is because I was thinking, we talk about the similarity between Whiterun and Edoras in Lord of the Rings. And in the film Lord of the Rings. And the thing is, if you watch those documentaries about Lord of the Rings that come with the extended editions, you realise the amount of work that's gone into designing every little wooden horse head on every little house that's in Edoras. And that amounts to about 3 minutes of screen time in the Lord of the Rings films. All that effort. Whereas in Skyrim, that effort is there. Like, the design of houses and shields and things is there, but you get to spend more time around
to appreciate it.
Yeah, you have proper time to appreciate it. So it's weird, because it's that design element is really cool, but then, like, the characters are often completely forgettable. So it's like a complete dichotomy. Like,
if they've made the world... Yeah, I think there's a certain thing about... I find this with a lot of Bethesda's look and feel, to be honest. It's like the world's fairly unique and memorable. I mean, Fallout's may not have looked great, but...
naturally,
in its own way, but it's kind of it did the atmosphere and the ambience of the world completely right. Whereas again, characters,
I don't remember any of their names. Can you remember any of them?
What, in Skyrim or Fallout?
Skyrim, Ulfric Stormcloak, some guy, and it's like I know who you're talking about vaguely. Some of them stand out somewhat, but they're like, especially because they tend to share voice actors sometimes. And and I have to say, you're totally right about the way... Why do they have the same line recorded by multiple voice actors?
Exactly.
Why? Why is it you go to one town and you go to the guy who sells weapons and he says, looking to protect yourself or deal some damage? And you go to another town, it's a different bloke with a different voice actor and he says, looking to protect yourself or deal some damage?
Or even inside Whiterun, there's the woman and the guy who run the weapon shop, and they both say
the same thing.
Yeah, we don't run this place, but we have an understanding of the people that do.
And I think that Oddly, though, those guys are actually weirdly the strongest characters because they are, in a way, that stick with you.
Because you see them all the time.
Yeah, because they're like catchphrases in a comedy sketch show, like brilliant or whatever. It's like you hear the same thing over and over again. Eventually, it stops being annoying. It starts becoming like their thing that you expect of them. Like,
do you think it'd be better?
Finest weapons and armor. It's like, you know he's going to say it before he even says it. Do come back.
Do you think it'd be funny if they sort of like made something like there was a merchant script or something that so there was like some tale in the game about why they all
say the exact
it's like the merchant manual where it's like how to greet a customer. Always say this.
Yeah, like some sort of guide, like you know, at KFC they always they have to say, do you want fries or that? Or the Burger King ladies like, do you want onion rings? I already said I don't want fucking onion rings.
Or do you want like Coke or Pepsi? Or you like, would you want drink or whatever?
What drink would you like?
Or you said what drink do you want?
Yeah, it's like, well, what drink would you like? I'd like some Coke. Is Pepsi okay? I don't fucking care.
Generic brown fluid.
Brown sugar water with a bit of a carbon dioxide in it. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, those days back at Burger King.
We're reminisce about that now.
Yeah, definitely. Because we got to the point where, you know, the lady behind the counter was always the same lady, and she'd always we have to play.
I think is a bit of a exaggeration. Woman, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Female of the species, but not in any kind of
anyway
complimentary way. Because she'd like go by the script so rigidly that it became a game to us to try and make her break it, wasn't it? So we'd go up there and said, I'd like a medium Whopper meal with a Coke, no onion rings. Specifically tell her no
all
onion
the information,
rings.
yeah.
Would you like onion rings? No!
Oh yeah, say, I don't want this. I do that in every single fast food restaurant. I say, because you know all the information they need to know in McDonald's.
Yeah,
so if you tell them all of it in the first sentence, and then if they ask you any of that information again, they fail the test.
What would be the best way to do that is to tell them all the information. Then if they ask you a question, they want to just go silent. Just don't say it. Just go.
I might try that. I'd like a medium Big Mac meal with a Coke to eat in, please.
Give them like the people's eyebrow or something.
Or deliberately say the opposite thing to start with, and then when they ask you, say the correct thing.
Oh, yeah.
Just to see if they notice.
Say something different.
Yeah, change your mind. They won't.
Would you like to go large?
Yes. What drink would you like?
But then that would be
Fanta.
But that would be victory for them. Would be the problem.
Yeah, that's the trouble.
You have to try and make it obvious, though. Don't make it too subtle so that they wouldn't notice. Like, deliberately be like,
well, I just said Coke, but now you mention it. Thank you for asking that question. You've made me reconsider. Yeah.
You could... the worst example perhaps would be to ask for a supersize, and then they go, would you like to go large?
Yes, actually.
Yes, actually, I'm too fat.
Supersize does seem a bit much. Thank you for saving me 20p.
Yeah, that'd be the best. If it's like it's actually cheaper. It's like, well done, you've just cost McDonald's 20p, you idiot.
So anyway, so I dipped my way up to the smithing 100 using your trick.
Yeah, the daggers.
And I also used which I probably shouldn't have done, but I don't care. I used the trick Giant Bomb mentions to jip the speech level to 100.
No. Why do you care?
It's worth it because it just fixes something that should be in the game to start off with, which is the perk in speech is people have more money. Vendors have more money.
Yeah, but
they should have more money. But then
there's no reason to have money.
I don't know. Why don't you think money is good? I don't understand.
Because you don't buy anything with it ever, apart from houses.
Well, I was buying my armor and stuff, but then you could trade money for skills.
You just make your armor.
You could just use you can use the training, so you can.
I never needed that either.
Yeah,
like the skills that I was actually using naturally got to like 90 in virtually no time at all, really.
Alright, so you just leveled to full instantly and never needed any resources for anything.
Yeah. It's like I never needed training like on my main character. I never needed to train archery because by the time I finished the game it was like 89 and the top perk in some of the trees are mostly irrelevant anyway. It's like get to level 100, get some crap. Like the top archery perk is like sometimes you hit them and it will paralyze them. I might as well I basically one-shot everything at this point anyway, so that's always irrelevant.
So you don't want to get perks faster at all.
No.
I don't care about.
I mean, I don't have the points either. It's like by the time I've leveled up to get a point, I'm usually waiting to get a point so I can spend it on something I already want that's at that level on the tree. I'm not thinking ahead where it's like, man, if I was level 100, I could get that because I've got this spare perk point lying around.
Right.
I'm spending them at the same speed I'm getting them, pretty much.
But if you do the training, then you get full...
Well, yeah, you get levels as well, I guess.
You get actual levels, you get perk points that you can spend.
Yeah, but...
So it just makes the game better quicker, because the perk points because the combat sucks when you start the game, and then it gets pretty cool after you start getting the perks.
It doesn't take that long to... Well, I guess... I mean, you don't have as much time to play it, so
Yeah.
I guess
Well,
that's
exactly.
relative.
Sack's a fairly bad yardstick for that kind of scaling.
And also because it's like, I'll just try and min-max it anyway. It's like at the start of the game, I'm thinking, I very quickly worked out where it's like, if I just pick up every movable object in this dungeon and shove it in the chest at the front, that'll make me some extra cash.
See,
all that kind of stuff.
I don't do that. Like, for my, I only pick up, I kind of roleplay it, because I only really pick up things that are high value and low weight.
Right, yeah.
So I pick up gems and actual literal treasure, but I don't pick up, cups.
You don't do multiple hauling runs.
No, I don't. No. I can't be bothered. It's like,
It doesn't take any time because it's fast travel. You just click on the place you want to go to sell stuff, click on the place on the dungeon to go back to the entrance.
Well,
and then
that's
because
the
you
thing.
moved everything into the entrance, you just walk in and pick it up.
I
And
suppose.
surely that's money, which you don't need.
Well,
That's
the
the
only
thing.
reason I did that was because at the start of the game where I was saving for
You
the
only
house.
did that right at the start, yeah. But I've got that now and everything. But the fast travel thing is really great. For me, as a person who only plays it 1 hour at a time, I said at the first, it's like, oh, you can't play this 1 hour at a time.
Yeah.
You totally can. Most quests aren't that long.
Well, yeah.
And also, every dungeon...
It's basically the same.
Every-
Whereas, like, you know where it's going to be like, here's the start of the dungeon, and then, like,
Yeah.
here's the midway door, and then you get through the second, and here's the last, and here's the convenient back entrance. that
Yeah,
leads back to
the back
start.
entrance. So every time you get to the end of the dungeon, it takes you 2 minutes to get back out to the world, which is contrived, but awesome, because that's great, that's what I want.
And that's also convenient
I'm done,
for-
I want to leave. I don't care about getting my way back through all this crap.
And that's also convenient for the shoving stuff into the first chest because once you
It
get to
usually
the,
leads
once
you
you
back to
once you
that
know
room.
where once you find the midway door and you're like, okay, this is the door where the lane force is. Then you haul everything you've got at the moment back to the first chest, and then everything you pick up in the second section you don't need to worry about because it will just put you back into the first chest again.
Yeah, I suppose.
Handy.
But I basically, so I never pick up enough stuff to over encumber me because I'm so picky about what I actually pick up.
Yeah.
I usually open a chest and just click on where it says gold. Because
Yeah.
that doesn't
Get the
take any-
cash.
Yeah, and then I go, do I want that? Oh, if it's an awesome ebony thing that's worth tons, then I will pick it up. But
The main thing that once I eventually managed to train myself not to pick up absolutely fucking everything.
I
Which
never
did take a while.
the only time I ever use take all is on a dragon corpse.
Yeah.
It's literally the only time.
But then they have some crap as well.
Sometimes I usually.
Like, like a steel hammer or something
Yeah,
that they've eaten off someone, I guess.
You mainly want the scales, the
bones.
bones, and the money. But the thing is, if the vendors don't have the money, then what's the point of having dragon bones? Because
You use them to make the armor.
I know, but I didn't know that until I got to that point, which is really annoying. Because basically, I'd sold every dragon bone and scale I'd ever got because they're worth a fortune, and as
It's
far
a
as
good
I was
way to make
concerned,
them-
they were no use for anything. But then I got
Did you not?
leveled up. Well, I assumed that.
Did you
Yeah.
not see the thing in the tree where it says dragon armor?
Anyway, so I go up to Dragon Armor, like, right, now I need to craft Dragon Armor. Oh shit, now I need to fight a fuck ton of dragons in order to actually get and they only spawn every so often.
It's like the dragon bones and scales are good to make the fast money. That's another thing you can do right at the start of the game to get the house because it's like the first dragon you fight. That's like $1,000 basically
Yeah, but
towards the house fund.
But you can't sell
Well,
that
you have to
stuff.
sell it over like 2 days.
Yeah.
To bet off or whatever.
But anyway, so
Yeah, I can't remember the
that
name.
top speech perk, which you can jip your way to, just means that it's much easier you can just sell, and also you can, with the speech perks, you can sell any kind of item to any vendor, so you don't have to
That
worry
does help
about,
as well.
oh, I'm
Yeah,
going
sure.
to a bloody, so it's like ching ching ching,
that'd be nice.
sort it out. Yeah, it just makes things a lot nicer.
Don't need the money.
Anyway, you can spend it on skills.
No point. You just level up naturally after a certain point.
There aren't even comedy hacks.
If you want to get up, I think the skill training is probably more important for like the first 30. Once you get to about 30, you're proficient enough if you're using it that you'll just go up naturally, like bows or whatever,
I guess.
or sneaking.
Yeah.
I got to 100 in sneaking very quickly on my stealth character because I was using it all the time.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, but that's kind of my situation. But I like that I've got a good level of perks for combat now, so I'm fairly organised in how I do things.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a warrior.
Yeah.
So I have the shield, the blocking, but I got the various ones that are helpful. Like I got the for fighting dragons, the elemental protection on the shield is really cool because you can basically that halves the damage you get from their shout, their fire and frost blast. You just hold up the shield and then you're relatively fine. And then I still use the even though I've got a bunch of perks in the restoration tree and stuff, I still use the novice heal spell.
It's because there's no. It's like it doesn't scale properly. Those healing spells. They're it's like the second one. Just the fast healing is like it's okay, but it's a bit inconvenient to have to remember that you have to hold and release. Hold and release.
Because the second level up is like a charge and release, and it gives you like half your health back instantly.
50 health points.
Or whatever it is.
However much of your health that might be.
But the thing is, that means if you've only taken a little damage, you can't sort of top up. With the other one, it's like hold down. And I have the perk that means that if you dual cast it gets more powerful, which looks really cool as well because the effect for a single cast is like it's a ball in your hand and it sort of goes it looks awesome. And if you without the perk, if you do it in two hands, you just get two balls. But with the perk, it like forms into a single massive ball in the center between your hands and goes wow.
You shove your face in it to heal or something?
No. So basically I do that and I got the perk that recharges your stamina from that, which is super awesome.
But that's only really early in the restoration tree as well.
Yeah, that's quite early. Well, all my stuff is early because I'm
yeah, I guess.
Yeah, and what else? Oh, the slowdown on shield.
I'm still not sure how useful
it's kind of cool.
I mean, it's okay, but the trouble is that even though it sort of says like it stun them or whatever, it doesn't really.
I always step aside.
You have to hit them with the shield bash and then hit them with an actual attack, and then it knocks them over most of the time. Well, it's not just the shield bash that does it, even though that's sort of what the idea of it infers.
Well, what I tend to do is block, and then they'll do a power attack, and then it'll go into slow motion.
Yeah.
And instead of bashing them, I'll sidestep their attack and power attack them back. So I power attack them in the back the moment they end their animation because I've got enough time with the slowdown. That's how I tend to use it. So you can say you're attacked by a bear and it's running towards you. You just block and then you can power attack and like take half its health instantly.
Yeah.
With that maneuver, you have to have enough room though. If you're in a corridor in a dungeon, it's more difficult.
I wonder if you made a shit ton of invisibility potions where you could block and then during the slowdown, during the invisibility potion, and then get behind them and then backstab them. That'd be funny.
Probably. See, I still never use any potions at all. I use no potions.
That's so goddamn inconvenient.
I use my healing spell's enough to be fine for most bosses even, because it
well, once you've leveled it up enough,
yeah, exactly. So I regen my stuff. And what else have I got that's cool? Nothing much else. I do my stealth archery. Basically, I stealth in... I hit them with one arrow, and if that doesn't kill them, I just go out of stealth and just go right.
Yeah, basically.
So it's like stealth. Pew! Oh, fuck it. Run it.
That highly leveled stealth archery with a decent bow or whatever is so ludicrously overpowered. Yeah. So I've got my legendary glass bow with awesome, well, not actually a very awesome enchantment because I haven't got very high enchanting yet. But it's like, one hit everything.
Yeah. And so there's that. And I don't bother with the companion at all now. I just ditched her. Or any companion. I just leave it.
I actually upgraded because I was giving her armor already to like make her less shitty. Yeah. And make her less prone to just instantly taking one hit and then falling over and then getting up and then falling over and then getting up constantly. So I gave her armor, but then I also finally found a piece of armor that had the muffle enchantment on it.
Right.
So she could actually be stealth now.
Oh, right.
So the fact that she's wearing giant heavy armour is completely irrelevant because she's silent.
Oh, that's
which is actually really helpful for my stealth.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So she can follow me around without being... I mean, if she's in visual range, she'll still be seen because she doesn't have very high sneak skill, but at least the sound doesn't count.
So anyway, story-wise, like, I don't know how much I'm pulled into the story, as it were. Like, individual quests are cool, or whatever. And
but also not very much story to them.
They sometimes have a nice little story, or they're just inferred from context. Like a sort of pirate cave that's custom for this particular mission or something. But, like, I haven't gone into the big quest lines like the Brotherhood, Dark Brotherhood, or the Thieves Guild, or the Even the companions one, I stopped when I was about to become a werewolf because
Yeah.
I was like, I can't be bothered with that yet.
Also, it's bad.
Okay, so
Well, we can't. The main thing I don't like about the werewolf is you can't get sleep bonus any longer.
yeah, so
That's
there's
like fuck 10%. God damn.
So I was leaving that. So my quest, the thing that was driving me was getting the awesome armor and stuff. Now I have it,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, okay, right. Well, so I carried on doing the main quest, but I'm not sure how far I am because. Okay, I've been playing it quite a few hours, the game, but I don't think I've done that much main quest. But it almost seems like I'm getting to the end because the quest I just started is called Alduin's Bane, or whatever. The
I can't
name.
remember how far that through that is.
I've got the Elder Scroll. That's what I did last time.
Well, there's a little bit more.
There's a little bit more. Okay.
It's sort of, you're getting towards the point where it's like the classic, where it sort of commits to the end sequence, where it's like you just go.
Yeah.
There's been like 2 or 3 hours of just doing it without
okay.
really much chance to go out and escape to other places. Well, I guess not that long.
Okay. So I might just finish the main quest line and then do
Yeah.
Thieves Guild or something. But like that, what is with that reach? That massive city thing underground with all those mushroom things.
What, the Dwarf ruins?
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'll just go into this. So I go over to the guy's place in the extreme north in the cave thing.
Yeah.
And he's like,
The
"Ooh."
crazy guy.
Yeah, the crazy guy. I'm like, oh, he's go to this place. So I wander over there. And then it's this huge dungeon, and then underneath there's this massive area, and I just pegged it in a direct straight line to where the arrow was, where I needed to go.
Right, yeah.
I didn't investigate because it looks enormous. What is that place?
It's not that much of interest out there. I mean, there's lots of like power dudes, and you can also down there. There's ore veins that mine soul gems,
Oh.
so it's quite a nice place if you want to get a shit ton of soul gems.
What are soul gems?
What the power of the enchanted weapons?
Oh, because I've never had an enchanted. Do you have to keep topping them up like a battery?
It's a pain in the ass.
Oh right.
It's a really inconvenient menu. You have to go into your weapons menu and then go to the weapon and then hit T and then scroll down the list of soul gems and then it's like which one you want to go and it really fills them up. You can only do one at a time.
So if I get that children thing, I'll need to keep topping it up
Yeah.
with soul gems.
And it will probably drain quite quickly because that's quite a powerfully enchanted one, I think.
Does it work when you've run out of power as a normal weapon?
Yeah, it just works as base damage.
Oh, okay. I didn't realise. But you have some kind of tap thing. Because I've never done any enchanting, so I don't know any of that.
Yeah, you just need a weapon with a soul tap enchantment. So when you kill an enemy with it, it fills any soul gems you've got. Although then you have to carry a shit ton of soul gems around. And you have to carry them at the correct level, because if you kill an enemy that's too low level and you've only got high level gems, a low level soul goes into a high level gem. Although there's a glitch you can use to fix that, because if you end up with a low level soul in a high level gem, if you just drop it into the world, it forgets what soul was it and empties it.
Oh, right.
Which is convenient.
This all sounds too complicated for me. I just like bashing things.
Enchantments are awesome.
Okay, really?
Well, I mean, it just gives you even more damage output, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
It's like what I've got on my main character's bow now. It's already a legendary glass bow, so it does ludicrous damage to
I've
start
got
with.
one of those, yeah.
But I've put on you get a special version of the soul tap enchantment that's fiery soul tap, so it does fire damage as well. Okay. So it's just like already legendary glass bow, even more from fire damage, and if the target dies from the arrow, it fills a soul gem.
So you regen your power for your fire.
Yeah. So it's like sweet.
So it charges itself.
Pretty much.
So
I mean, there is a perk on the enchantment tree.
Can you buy the soul gems then? Where do you get them from?
Yeah, you can buy. Well, you can buy empty and full ones from.
Oh right.
There's normally like general merchants have a couple, but if you go to like the court wizards, they.
Oh right. Okay. That sounds like a bit of a pain, but I will look into that.
Well, it's not so. It's like. Well, when you're making the enchantments yourself, you can customize like how powerful they are, like the fire damage. So if you go for like only 1 point of fire damage, it will last practically forever because it has 1,000,000 charges.
Oh, I see.
So you can sort of customize it to.
Interesting. There's all these mechanics that I'm unaware of because I'm not using them and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the thing about. Well, you know, if you're just a generic warrior or whatever, you might never use magic or something.
Yeah, the only thing I use is restoration, so
yeah.
I don't know much about it. Or I could potentially use the enchantment thing. Maybe I should.
Well, it's like you can grind enchantments pretty easily. It's like everything you disenchant, although you can only learn each enchantment once. So every new enchantment you get, that's a bit of extra leveling. And enchanting levels you up pretty quick. If you just, basically, you could sort of, unfortunately you've already finished your smithing, but you could easily pair it with your smithing, because you can just like, take the 1,000,000 iron daggers you got and put shitty enchantments on them.
Yeah, okay.
But of course, every time you make an enchantment, it uses a soul gem, so you need a ton of soul gems as well.
Oh, okay. This sounds, interesting, complicated.
It's not that complicated.
But
Just a
anyway,
pain.
yeah. So
Grinding.
anyway, big dwarven city, got the Elder Scroll,
Yeah.
stupid puzzle that took 5 minutes.
Well, it wasn't that
2
bad.
minutes or
That was
something.
one of it's one of the puzzles of the game
Yeah.
that there aren't that many of.
It's like 3 or something.
Yeah.
There's the one where you have to look at the claw in your inventory to see
Over
what
and
the
over
pattern-
again, every goddamn claw.
see what the pattern of the symbols is, so you can open the door, which is a dumb puzzle.
Or look at the icons in the environment so you know which way to rotate the pillars. That's the other
Is
puzzle.
there another way? Oh right, yeah.
Well, it's the same thing basically. But
There was one puzzle where I had to use the move really quickly shout to get through.
Yeah.
That happened like once.
There was one dungeon that I've been to so far that had a secret room where you could get to.
Oh,
where
that's
it's like, oh, bonus chest. Unfortunately, it still has shit looted, but never mind.
The same randomly generated room as every other fucking chest in the game.
Yep.
And I've been using the shout that like doubles or whatever. I've only got the first word of it. I need to get the other words. But the one that increases your swing speed.
All right.
So you just get more DPS because you just swing twice as fast. You just go whoo, and then so when the dragon lands, I just use the shout and then go at his face. Occasionally shield bashing it so it doesn't snap my head off.
Yeah.
Bash, 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 bash,
It's
bash,
way
bash.
too easy to interrupt. It's like as
Yeah.
soon as they start flaming, you just get donk and then they start.
Yeah, they stop. Yeah. Well, especially that. I mean, it's hard to get them to block the actual snapping of the physical attack. But
Yeah.
the shouts, you can interrupt by as long as they're not flying around, which is when they mainly shout.
Yeah.
But when they're on the ground and trying to shout you, then you can just interrupt them by bashing them. So it's like, lol, you die. But it's like weird. Some of the enemies like jump in level really mysteriously, like they get really easy and then suddenly they're hard again or something. Like I was in a sort of the easy enemies from the start of the game are the undead guys, the Dragur or whatever.
Durgers.
The Durgers. and then this guy was owning me, this Durga Deathlord.
Yeah, as soon as they get to Deathlords, they become ludicrously more powerful
So he
compared to the other ones.
went to Deathlord, and now I can handle Deathlords, but at the time I was really confused because I thought I'd heard on Giant Bomb or something that every time it goes to third person and you lose control, that means you're dead. Or whatever. Because, when you die, it goes to third person and you see your body ragdoll.
Right, yeah.
But what was happening was, so I was kept reloading because I kept dying. I kept going to third person, right?
And
I
they
realised
just use Unrelenting Force.
they were using Unrelented Force, and what happens is it throws you across the room, but then you do get up again and you're okay. But I hadn't realised this. I just assumed I was dead every time I went, rah! And I just went splat. I thought, well, he's insta-killing me. What the fuck is going on?
I virtually never get hit by that because I'm still
Yeah.
They still go down with one arrow just like everything else.
Yeah.
Or 2 arrows because they don't see you after the first
After
arrow.
the first
Just get another one off.
Yeah, anyway, so... But yeah, you can interrupt them shouting.
Yeah.
And as long as you know that when they chuck you across the room and you're okay, then it's fine.
I think a lot of the times when I've been hit by that, it doesn't even knock me over. I think that might be a perk I have.
I think it depends on... Yeah, I've got a perk that reduces my stagger and increases enemy stagger. Or that might be an enchantment on something.
Yeah.
Blessing or something. Anyway, but yeah, Skyrim's...
What are your thoughts on Kingdoms of Amalur, which is supposedly the
I haven't
current
really
competition?
I haven't really seen much about it. I mean, it's not doesn't really appeal to me. I think I'd rather just play Bayonetta. You know what I mean? If I play Skyrim and Bayonetta rather than try and combine the two in a kind of weird multicolour way. But I'm sure it's cool. But the thing is, I've got The Witcher 2 to play. I mean, I've got enough of these games, so I don't know. I'm sure it's probably fine. It's probably quite good. I mean, you've been playing it. Right?
Demo seems good.
Yeah. Well, I might give it a go, but I don't think I'll be playing it for a while.
No,
Different kind of game after Skyrim, if I ever stop this bloody game.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody else. Rob.
You finished your one game.
Yes.
Right,
What have you been playing?
let's start with Uncharted.
Hey.
Uncharted 3! Now, avid listeners of the last podcast would know I'm not a fan. Well, it's good.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just not as good as the previous ones. And I wanted to go into detail on this with Dan about.
Yeah,
It's,
okay. Because you're right, I did really like Uncharted 2. but-
Uncharted 2 is still amazing. It's still fantastic.
Do you agree with the Eurogamer review? Because, we talked about that. Have you read that? The one that gave it 8 out of 10.
I'm not sure I have.
was saying...
I can't, or at least I can't remember.
Well, we did talk about it on the cast, but
I can't remember.
But his point was that it was too directed in places. It was kind of helping you in I can't remember. It is agency, basically.
It is a lot more directed than previous ones, as in... I remember scenes in the first Uncharted where it takes you a while to figure out how to traverse the environment.
Yeah.
Like, they've made the environment the puzzle
Yeah.
in those scenarios. Which leads to the fairly obvious fact that this one doesn't have many puzzles.
Right.
They pretty much stop doing anything puzzly by the halfway point in the game.
Right.
The second half has none of it.
That's weird.
It's like,
two had puzzles.
The pacing in this is all kind of weird, if you ask me.
Right.
It's like Uncharted 2, to sort of retread how that works. That kind of works with the sort of like, there's intrigue, we're on a job goes wrong, it turns into a bit of a revenge plot to do the job before the other one team, and then at the halfway point you get that sort of, 2/3 point, you get that sort of change of pace dramatically, where it seems you're properly fucked up and that you'll give up and stuff, and then there's, the sort of build up to the end again. It sort of like then gets its feet and starts going again. And to a degree, that sort of pace still happens, but the game is a lot shorter, so the impact of it just feels kind of odd.
Right. Just like in fast forward.
Yeah, there's a cut-off point. Like, the game seems to be split into thirds, each with a very different sort of approach to how the gaming world works. And you just kind of end up wanting, I wish they stuck with one of them for a bit longer, because none of them feel very fleshed out because of it. It's like, right, I'm going to be potentially heading into spoiler territory here, so I'm going to try and be careful, because I know you're probably going to want to play it at some point. But
probably. First
third that I've sort of started to show you with the London sections and stuff, and easily the best.
And then the young Drake stuff.
Yeah, the young Drake stuff, and then you've got the mansion with the flaming stuff. Basically, any of the missions where you the basically the foursome is sort of together, where you've got you, Sully, and Chloe and Cutter are still part of the plot. Basically, Chloe and Cutter get cut at a third of the way in the game, and are never heard from again. Which is annoying because Cutter's awesome. He's like by far the best. Him and Sully are like the best characters in the game, but Cutter gets cut like a third of the way through the game, and is never heard from again, and which is really, really irritating, because it's just like, but they was getting good. There's like the team was working well. I thought it would like be interesting to keep that together. Even in Uncharted 2, Chloe plays a bit more of a role for longer in the game, and is just sort of washed by the side. Second third of the game features Elena, who's about naturally. Although they don't explore what's happened in between the games again with them. The romance died at some point for some reason.
Okay.
And is never ever explored, and she's just there, essentially. She's completely useless, like in terms of furthering the plot. She's just there. And it's like, which is rubbish.
Lame.
And then during that part of the game, you lose Sully as well. So there's a large part of the game where it's just Nathan, and that's not interesting.
Yeah. Well, it depends, I suppose.
I know, but it's
what's going on, but yeah.
It's the problem. It's a problem, but Nathan on his own can be okay, and the other games have done it okay, but it's a problem because the whole tone of the game is more serious. In general, the whole tone of the narrative is more serious.
Yeah.
Which means that Nathan doesn't have the ability to get away with his normal quips, so he doesn't do them.
That's a shame.
As he does them, but they're just not as interesting as they were before. It's not as like passing humour kind of style, and so that element doesn't work for me anymore, which is a shame. And while I'm on the subject of the narrative, the whole thing is just kind of boring this time. It's the least interesting plot of all three games.
I wasn't very convinced by the enemy woman. She didn't seem very frightening to me. The British.
Well, it's a massive anticlimax of the problem with the story, because it sounds like it's setting up to be possibly the most epic in the series, simply because it's like, this is the reason Drake kind of got into this thing, and it's like, actually turns out to just be rather flat. Like the previous two games have a supernatural element.
Yeah,
this doesn't.
Oh, weird.
It's hinted at, but never comes to anything. It's like, it turns out it's not supernatural at all. Like, there's a certain... I can't talk about this sequence without spoiling it horrifically.
Okay, so don't
but it's...
spoil it, but
It essentially, that whereas in the previous two games, obviously, when you discover El Dorado and there's those mysterious monsters and there's all those like hints of Nazi links and all kinds of cool stuff going on.
Yeah.
It's like you start to get some sort of oddness happening in the last third of the game, but yeah, I can't say it. That portion is tiny and irrelevant.
Okay.
So yeah, that's crap. That element is crap.
Yeah.
And it's like, so they've knocked a massive list off there, and it's just not as interesting. There's a kidnapping bit. In fact, the whole, although it's sort of like lauded in the, is a quite a nice technical achievement visually.
Yeah.
The whole section in the ship graveyard leading to the cruise liner, easily the most frustrating gameplay part of the game. That whole section I don't like.
Okay.
For starters, the fights are just incredibly awkward. Like, there's one fight in particular where you've got quite a large open area with stuff floating in water. Basically, a few boats everywhere. And it starts as a stealth section, so you can go about killing a few guys and stuff. Which leads us to the problem that the previous one had, in that stealth in these games is kind of flawed. In that someone could spot you sometimes at the most ridiculous angles. You'll stealth kill someone and then someone will like hear it. Seems to be the case. Like, stealth just seems to not work.
Yeah.
Like, they'll occasionally spot you for no reason at all, or no reason that you could have predicted, or something like that. It's really frustrating, which is exacerbated by an awkward checkpoint system. That once you've failed a stealth section, the checkpoint will often save you in somewhere in a position that you never went to after the alarm has been raised. So in this section, in this large area, in this ship graveyard, so I've done this. I've killed a few guys. I've got spotted by some dude. After I stealth killed someone a little too close to someone, so I can forgive it for sort of starting the fight. And I then sort of turned around. You can swim about in this bit, so I sort of swim under this thing, pop my head up, only to be in front of a turret sort of thing, and I die. And it's like, fair enough, not so much my problem. It then respawns me, like in the opposite corner of the area, which I've not been to yet, with guys all around me. The alarm raised, and then starts a ridiculous fight.
What the hell?
Yeah,
what?
It's like, I was never there. Don't put me in a situation I didn't put myself in. And that happened like 3 or 4 times throughout the course of the game, where it put me in situations I hadn't...
Just respawned you there?
Well, it didn't, it's not like a respawn. It's sort of like checkpointed, so the game like restarted. But it restarted in a sense that, as if you never died, because it's a story game. But it put me in a situation I was never in.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, that's not fair. Sorry.
No,
and you can't go back, because obviously it's saved. And it's like, that sucks. And it does that 3 or 4 times throughout the game, where it just put you in scenarios that you never got yourself into. And it's like, fuck you, game. You've made this harder than it needs to be. And it's like, so that was a bit jarring. Which leads me to, the reason why that was more annoying, because it's like, well, stealth in that game sucks, so let's just fight our way through it. Combat's not as good either. It's like, there's a massive emphasis now on hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
Which, works fine when it's just hand-to-hand combat sections, or if you've only got a few guys around. When you've got tons of guys around, they can still shoot you. When you're in combat, the button to, which is normally your dive away button, is a grab button instead. So you can't actually get out of a fist fight very easily.
Right.
So it's especially when there's you can see a sniper laser honing down on your head.
You can't get out
and you can't do anything. And it's like, bang! Oh, well that's that then. There's a lot more armoured guys as the game goes on than there were in the previous ones. And they all carry shotguns. So often you'll be fighting guys in front of you, and someone will just silently flank round behind you and one-shot you.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck! And the level design is... don't get me wrong, it's kind of clever, because the enemies know to do that. So it's a testament to their AI that they can do that. But even in normal mode, they're too tough to do anything about without getting killed by the other dudes that are shooting at you. So the whole thing is immensely frustrating in those...
Yeah,
and
doesn't sound fun.
There's... Again, about 2 or 3 sections and usually it's the large scale sections where this just happens. And it also suffers from doddily timed enemy spawning. So you'll go up to a section, when you finally worked out where to go, you'll get to a section, and then a load of snipers will appear miles away while you're climbing something. It's like, oh fuck, how do I get out of this one? And they'll snipe you, and you're dead. And it's like, next time you know to go just far enough into the area to make them spawn, but don't start the climb or whatever. So then you can like back out and get to cover and take them out. And it's like, that's cheap.
That is really weird.
And there's a couple. It's just not as good as the previous two games, and I don't see why it's getting all the praise. That said, the start of when you reach the desert, and the whole big thing about these aren't spoilers because they're in the trailers and everything. When the plane crashes, that whole sequence in the desert is fantastic.
Okay.
Because there's no gunplay, it's all just story and it's all directed, as you say. But the way it's done is amazing.
Yeah.
It's possibly the single best cinematic moment in the entire Uncharted series, is that. But it's not gameplay.
It's not really, yeah.
It's like, all of that is fantastic. So I don't know why it is good looking. I'll give you right. In a lot of ways, it's better looking than Uncharted 2. So the more I played it, and especially as the game goes on, the more I started to see why game trailers gave it best graphics, because it is quite impressive in places. Possibly not as impressive as Dirt 3 or Crysis 2 or any of our nominations, but it is really quite impressive.
Yeah.
But it's disappointing. It's really disappointing. Don't get me wrong, it's still a great game, but I have to do it objectively next to the other two, in the sense that it's just not there. They've missed something this time. Bah humbug. So, yeah.
So that's Uncharted, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't really know what to ask.
Good game, but a shame. I've covered most of it. It's like,
that's the idea.
Yeah. Well, even the cruise line bit, which is supposedly cool, is made frustrating by the rocking of the boat. It's like one of the
whole key thing.
Yeah, one of the most awesome things that looked in there. How Drake stumbles around on occasion when things. It seems to happen sort of randomly.
Right.
Like sometimes it doesn't seem to be like in time with the rocking.
Particularly, yeah.
But of course, there's a big firefight while things are rocking, and the stumbling then just fucks up what you're doing. So you can stumble into the path of a dude with a machine gun for an arm. And you're like, there's nothing I can do about that. Fuck you, game. Fuck you. And you have to do that whole fight again. And there's the odd bit of enemies spawning behind you. So you have, unless you fight your way to the end of a stage, find a decent amount of cover on the other end. All of a sudden there's a load of guys behind you. And it's like, how was I supposed to know that was going to happen? The choreography of the fight sequences just seems lazy. And designed purely for you to remember where everyone's coming from to make the best of it. Real shame. Although they've done the sort of vehicle chase thing again.
Oh, again.
But even cooler because it's horses.
Oh, awesome. That actually sounds fun.
That's great, that sequence.
The section with the trucks in Uncharted 2 was really cool.
Yeah, they've done it again, basically, and it's still just as cool. And there's a sandstorm bit, which is neat. Even if it does suffer from the classic problem of enemies can see through everything. But, it's both brilliant and massively flawed at the same time, this one. Whereas I wouldn't have said that about the other two.
No.
Not even close. It has its moments, and it's a lot shorter. It feels like I can remember every part of the game, which, in some games you can't. But in this one, it feels like I can remember every single moment, and I think it took me a touch over 7 hours to do, mainly because I had to restart sections, but you could probably clear it in 5 if you perfected it. Possibly even less than that. There are a couple of really tricky sections as well, like actually properly difficult spikes. And on normal mode as well, it feels like you're doing the harder insane modes or Gears of War at times. It's that difficult. It's, I don't know. I'd still reckon if you're a fan of the series, pick it up. But don't expect much.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I had to get that off my chest.
Reservations.
It's like I was a bit... it was disappointing as a fan.
Fair enough, yeah.
I know some people really like it. Like, I'm sure Eddie Brett basically was like all over it when it came out and was like, yeah, it's great. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with those, reservations.
I did play a bit of the multiplayer as well, which I talked about it last week, so I'm not going to recap the ground too much, but again, don't really bother with it.
No,
play Call of Duty, in fact. I'd even recommend Call of Duty over that.
Fair enough. The old Call of Duty.
Yeah, so Uncharted. Woo. Now I do want to go into full-on spoiler territory, though, because I want to talk the ending of LA Noire.
Oh, okay.
No.
No,
Just no.
not very good.
Not really at all.
Ruined the memory of the game. When I look back on the game, I just think of the ending and thinking it leaves a bad taste in my mouth for the whole game. The game was a good game.
It just sort of, why does Cole have to just die for the most pointless circumstance?
Yeah.
It's like,
and then
it's not even a very honourable death, is it? Because the whole ending is not playing as Cole. And he's by that point, you really don't really like him that much.
You don't like him. The flamethrower thing is dumb. He dies for no reason, and then the funeral thingamajig is rubbish. Like it's not even awesome, epic, cool death.
You haven't brought down the conspiracy.
You haven't. I don't mind if he dies, but just make it good.
The only person that seems to have been brought down out of the conspiracy is Walter from Fringe, the housing dude. It's like everyone else gets away with it, and it's like, what was the point?
Walter from Fringe. Is he Denethor from Lord of the Rings as well?
Making two references that you two aren't going to be able to collaborate on.
I don't know names from Lord of the Rings.
Return of the King's your favourite one, right?
Yes, which I've only seen once.
Oh, right. You've only seen Return of the King once?
Properly. I've only
seen them all once.
I've seen the ending
Jesus.
I've seen the ending of Return of the King 4 times because it happened to be on foreign television when I did business trips. But
you're the one that keeps arguing that that's the best one. You've only seen it once. Jeez, we need to watch those again, man. Get them on Blu-ray.
I've seen Harry Potter's to watch.
Well, I've seen the Fellowship of I've seen the first one 3 times and now agree that that's pretty good. I can't stay awake through Two Towers. I just can't.
That's the best one by far, I think.
But I cannot stay awake through it. It's like I've tried 3 or 4 times now, and I've fallen asleep every time.
3 or 4 times.
You're just watching it at the wrong time, apparently. Or alternatively, you could use that to make sure you sleep at the right times.
Yeah, that's true.
Next time you need to sleep at a specific time, just put that
on. Right, in about 45 minutes, I'll be asleep.
Then there's also the sort of the king. Sort of not king, the steward of Gondor, who tries to burn his son alive and eats a lot of tomatoes and.
You know what? I think you're right. I think it might be the same guy. But you know the guy I mean from LA Noire anyway. The sort of housing developer boss man.
Yeah.
Who's
it's him. I
think
you
get an achievement for outsmarting.
He's really good. He does a good job.
He's fantastic. Yeah.
Although his face is a bit funny in places. Is that the guy? Or
possibly.
No, I've had it a bit jerky in places.
He's the guy you.
It looks like
you read his mansion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I know the one you mean.
Yeah.
He's really good. He's good in everything.
He's great. So, but it's a shame his character was so late in the game. But he's the only one that goes down for the badness.
But do you see what I mean about how I quite like that whole conspiracy plot line with the housing stuff. I think that stuff, it
was well done. Don't get me wrong. The whole way that it came together as well. There's hints of it throughout the entire game, and then it all comes together quite neatly for the conspiracy.
And did you like the bit where
I still think it's a weird
character? Where you suddenly you're the insurance
suddenly you're Jack.
Person.
Yeah, but I thought that was just going to be I didn't realise that was going to be the finale where you do the whole thing as Jack. I thought that it was going to go away again and then go back to Cole, who you've invested the entire time of the game in.
It is a bit mysterious. Anyway, but the actual end, the flamethrower and everything, and then it just. It's not.
It's weird because it doesn't leave me. I after playing as Cole for 20 hours,
exactly.
I actually don't know how I feel about him because of the way he handled the ending.
Exactly.
And it's he was an arsehole for cheating on his wife and stuff at the halfway point.
Absolutely.
And it's then you start to hate him for that. Yeah. But then he starts to redeem himself a little bit with how he handles his work still with the same professional stance as he always does. And so you sort of start to think, you know what, you're keeping with it. You've regained some of my respect. And then he pansies out of the biggest part of the story, completely.
No, I don't know. Like I say, the individual plot lines of the cases are quite cool, but the actual overarching story
they make too much of a big deal of the old clips because they eventually don't really come to anything either, do they?
The World War II stuff, no.
It's because it basically leads to the flamethrower guy.
Yeah,
but there was no need for all of that, really. You could, and it was interesting, perhaps, to highlight that you used to work with Kelso.
Yeah,
but that was literally the only thing that came of it. Everyone else was.
It's what does he do?
The rest of it was unnecessary.
He orders them to clear out a cave because that's what
they're behind. They're behind on schedule.
Turns out to be a hospital or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're behind on schedule, so that in clearing out these caves, basically burning them out to get rid of the Japanese from them. and they accidentally burn out one that happens to be like a makeshift refugee camp.
But he didn't do it deliberately.
No.
Like, he was only doing...
But you can see why he'd mess up flamethrower guy.
That's fair enough. Yeah, that was quite a cool. Right at the end, before the actual sewer stuff, the actual bit where you arrive at that spooky house and it has all the origami cranes and stuff.
Yeah, that was
cool.
well done. The atmosphere was cool.
Yeah, that was quite atmospheric.
And the reveals. I thought something was going to happen there, but it didn't.
No, so did I. I was like, this is going to be awesome. I thought it was going to be like the end of LA Confidential, where you go to a house and then it's a massive ambush. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I was like, this is clearly going to be an ambush. Yes.
But it wasn't.
No.
I thought something a lot more fucked up was going to happen to Jack, really. It's like, he does get beaten up quite badly, but, I don't know. It's a shame. It's a big shame. It's a downer on what is actually quite a good game. Plus, I also want to talk to you about the gold film reels.
Oh, right, yeah.
How fucking ridiculous is that shit?
I don't think I found a single one, or I can't remember finding them.
Did you hear what I said about it last week? I didn't find any of them until I just randomly went to, I wonder what this part of the map is. Turns out to be an airfield, and I find one in a hangar. No. And at that point, my heart just goes... Oh, fuck. That means they could be anywhere in the city.
Your heart goes, oh, fuck.
Yeah, my heart...
That's a good choice of body part.
My heart's quite vocal. It's like... It's...
Oh, fuck. Well, the only thing I was to say about
that I've had too much pizza as well.
Those kind of collectibles, like the feathers. I quite like the feathers in Assassin's Creed, because you have to do a bit of actual climbing and stuff. But the LA Noire gold... No. I'm not going around this boring city.
Assassin's Creed is fairly ridiculous with it, but this is a whole nother level.
And the one I wanted to mention about was the ones in GTA 4. How they do it is they're pigeons, and you have to shoot them. And if you get all of them, you have eradicated all the pigeons in New York City. And now that's funny. It's essentially the same quest, but they just made it hilarious.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
And also shooting them gives you slightly more, you don't have to walk directly. You can snipe them, or you can see them from above.
And a pigeon's a bit easier to spot as well. Cause,
well, they do glow. They glow as well.
So
they're easier to spot. Yeah. Well, they're not
because the aesthetic of LA Noire is kind of a bit bland, but purposefully bland. That the gold stuff doesn't really stand out.
No, exactly.
So even if you're right next to it, it's like, is that what I think? Oh, it is. Oh, look, I found one. Great.
But I just like the meta, the textual of thinking. If I get 100%, then not only will I have collected 100% of the collectibles, but I'll have eradicated pigeons from Liberty City. Die. It's just funnier. But I don't think I ever actually did it. But I think that's one of the few achievements I never fully got, because there's a lot of pigeons. Well, there's 100, but
there's a lot of pigeons.
Oh, a lot of pigeons. A lot of pigeons.
Okay. There's our quote for the week. A lot of pigeons.
So, what's next?
Rage.
Rage.
I'm not going to talk much about this. I just want to. I really only want to touch on the impact of the engine. Really, like how that stuff kind of works. It's neat because I can safely say I've never really before. There's the best looking canyons in game history.
Best sky? I've revised
the sky is fucking lovely.
I revised my thing. I don't think Skyrim has the best sky. Although I agree about the night sky being quite nice. But I think Red Dead definitely beats it in sky terms.
But that wasn't that year. That was the whole point of that.
I know.
Sky year.
Yeah, I think maybe Rage would be...
Rage of Sky is lovely. It's not... I'm not sure it wins by your criteria for that.
I like dynamic skies.
It's not very dynamic, no. It is basically just a skybox.
Yeah.
But it's a nice looking skybox. It's like, we were playing TF last night when someone basically said about one of the sort of sunset levels, damn, that's a nice skybox. And it's like, they haven't played Rage.
Oh, one thing I did
purple.
Want to say about the Skyrim is that the Aurora look really cool in screenshots, but they're a bit sort of static.
Well, in real life, they're a bit static. In real life, they don't wibble. They move really slowly. It's only sped up footage that makes them do that.
Yeah, but I don't know. They would move. Oh, yeah, maybe, you're right. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, but I think that the technology has merit in that the install is massive because of it. There's so much texture. It's you don't really come across repetition, like, ever. Which the only times you see it are sort of perhaps on decals in people's houses where they put up like registration plates on cars for some reason. Some of them like hang them up on the wall and stuff, and sometimes those repeat.
They all have the same registration.
And it's like the textures of like physical objects in the world, kind of naturally are all kind of the same. Like barrels all look the same.
Yeah,
it's like, but in terms of the landscaping and what do you call it, buildings and stuff.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal because there is no repetition,
right?
Like, or never noticeably.
It's
mega. And it's great because I cannot stress actually just how much of a difference that makes to sort of like
you're just
believing
used to
the
it
world.
In games, right? You're just used to every building having the same.
Yeah, I mean, Battlefield may look great, but certain textures certain grass textures, certain dirt textures from afar are obviously repeating.
Yeah,
and it's like they'll have like when you get certain far away from them, they'll map into something that is very patterned.
Yeah,
and it's you don't get that in this. It just looks wonderful. The downside is, and this is a rather large downside, is that the texture detail up close doesn't really stand up to much. It's like there are a lot of textures and there's a lot of variation, but up close they don't work.
Yeah,
they are quite blurry. They added a patch recently that allows your graphics card to flex its muscles somewhat, or your CPU, I don't know which one it does, but it complained about me not having enough CPU cores with a fucking i7 when I tried to turn this option on.
Wow.
It might be expecting hyperthreading or something.
Well, that's on by default, isn't it?
Yeah, not on mine. I turn it off.
Oh, fair enough.
Get rid of that shit. I might turn it back on and see what happens.
I'll keep mine.
But yeah, and the idea is that it runs a software pass on it to try and take the texture detail and do edge detection to try and smooth out where things are. So it's basically doing a software pass to make the textures look more detailed. And that actually does work as well, but not enough. Like, you walk up to wall and go, that's worse than Black Ops. that kind of level of awfulness. But from afar, the effect is phenomenal. But up close doesn't work. So, if they were to like quadruple the install size to like 40 gigs, then they might solve the problem. If they had a Blu-ray, maybe, then they could probably fit enough texture detail on to make it work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, so I think it has merit and it needs work. I'm not going to talk about the game because I'm only like 2 hours in.
Okay.
John
Goodman in it yet?
Does he play a character near the start with green glasses?
I think he plays one of the main guys, doesn't he? John Goodman? I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, I think I know who you mean.
Anyway.
The voice did sound familiar and I couldn't place it, but now I can.
John Goodman's awesome. He was pretty good in The Artist as well, even though he didn't say it.
Yeah. Or at least I think it's him. I'll find out.
Anyway.
But yeah, the guys I've met have been fairly well voice acted, actually. It's like, there are some really bizarre things, like they have, like, gangs, like the bandits form gangs, basically. But then they have, like, certain, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, they're disparate gangs, but they often share, like, a common thing, like there's British, basically. there's British Cockney thugs, is one thing, and then you get, like, the mutants, and then you get the slightly more sort of traditional, just a bit mental, like bandit guys who like sharpening their blades, those kind of guys. But everyone of a certain gang sounds the same. So every member of the British sounds exactly like everyone else. It's like, where is he? Come out, mate. I'm gonna fuck you right up.
Space British.
It's kind of good because the voice acting is good. It's just it's a bit jarring when you realise they all sound the same. Like, given that they all a lot of them look quite different. So there'll be some British guys that have got like the Union Jack, just the classic shot from Ray Julian's, one of their like promo shots, wasn't it? Where you were being lunged at by some dude wearing a Union Jack's worth of body paint, and it's so you see, like, they
actually
vary,
properly
but
British, as in
I don't know.
They're not just Cockney voiced, but they actually relate to the country of Britain.
I don't know. It's like, apart from the Union Jack and the fact that they have that voice, there's no obvious story reason for why they're there.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet, no.
And the only thing I saw of Rage when I came over and Rob was playing it, the first thing he did was immediately jam his car in a doorway, and they couldn't get it out for like 15 minutes.
I couldn't get it stuck because you can't melee cars out of the way like you can because you're not like superhuman or something, so it doesn't allow you to beat the car back out of a doorway. So I had to do the classic sort of Austin Powers, jiggle it out until I got it facing the right direction. Otherwise, I would have had to spend all of my money on a tow truck to get it out of the doorway to the repair hut where it was going to be towed to.
Brilliant.
It's like, so I don't want to do that. So I jiggled it out. And then got it repaired for like pansy money.
Yeah, that was pretty dumb.
that was quite dumb. What is more stupid though was the fact that part of the game where you saw me was like the bandits had built a barricade so we can't get here. The barricade's like 10 feet away from the encampment.
And then like 20 feet away from the next town.
So the first thing I do is like normally you get in the car and go somewhere. So I get in the car, drive out round the corner, get immediately locked by a homing missile, which fucks my car up. So I think I'd drive back, but it's literally just round the corner. If anyone pokes their head round this corner, they get a missile lock on their face, and it's like, that's ridiculous. They could have stopped them building that barricade quite easily using the sniper rifle they just gave me. It's like there are some stupid things in terms of the world, but
classic.
Oh, and some of the sound is a bit crap as well. Like I showed you the sound on the ATV; it's pretty awful.
Well, that might just be because it's digital. Oh, wait, were you playing with a controller?
No, I'm using keyboard and mouse, but so yeah, it would have been digital controls.
Yeah.
It might be better. But yeah, it has a sound effect that it uses for acceleration, but it has a different engine noise for deceleration, so it's like but the difference between the two is so pronounced, and there almost seems to be a gap between when it's cutting between the two samples. So it feels really too heavy, and you can do the stupid thing where if you hold the button and release it, it goes and it's just like
Buggy Boy or something.
Yeah, it does. It's not right. Yeah, so the sound's a bit crap on that. So Rage is done. Now the next question is for the remaining like half an hour of this cast or something. Do we want to hand over for Zach for half an hour, or do you want to let me do my one more thing?
What is your one more thing?
Fitness.
Oh, right.
Oh, we've got DJ Hero as well.
Well, you need to do more of that. You could do more fitness before you talk about it.
Well, yeah. Okay, I'll leave that one for now then. DJ Hero, yeah, it's good.
There's not much to say about that, really.
No,
it's a rhythm game.
It's exactly what you expect, really. There's a couple of actions on the controller that don't work quite as you expect.
You're playing DJ Hero 1?
2.
2.
The most annoying mechanic is the rewind thing.
Rewind! You have to spin it all the way around.
Yeah, you have to make it do a full rotation.
Right.
But the bit I found confusing is the way you rotate it is actually with the music, not rather than against it.
Right. Can't you do either?
Probably, but I found that it works better if I do it with it. Yeah. Sometimes getting it to detect that that's what I've done, that seems a bit tricky.
Right.
So you can easily mess up your combo. It's a neat mechanic in theory, because when you rewind, it goes back to a checkpoint, which are like marked on the track when you go past them, so it goes back to the last one you passed. And then, as long as you don't fuck up, your multiplier is doubled during the period of time that you've wound back to. But it doesn't double cumulatively with your like star power, or euphoria, as it's now called. But yeah, it's an interesting mechanic for score doubling. It's just I wish the controls worked a little better for it. And it gets hard. It's like I'm playing in medium, which isn't too bad, but I thought, oh, I'll step it up to hard mode. Oh my god, it gets difficult. Not because what your hands are trying to do is particularly bad. The scratching is quite difficult to get it, just to learn how to do it right is kind of tough. It's not like the guitar is easier to pick up, I think, than the scratch mechanics.
Yeah.
But there's also sometimes where it's actually just reading the timeline is kind of trickier, because you have to worry about doing the crossfade thing, making sure that it's actually a full move rather than a half move. Like, I say half moves when you like return to center, because return to center sometimes your brain sort of gets confused between a return to center and a flip all the way across. It's too easy to just sort of go whoop, oh no, go back, oh there, and then noting the taps and the scratches at the same time as doing that. It can be a bit mind overloady. It's like, at the moment anyway, I'm sure I'll learn to read it in the same way that you used to learn to read the DDR patterns with insane complexity, but it's yeah, for now it seems pretty tricky to pick up the hard difficulties, but we'll get there. But in general, presentation wise, not nearly as hot as the Guitar Hero series. I'd even go as far as to say it's not even as well made as Guitar Hero 3.
Okay.
In terms of the menus are nice. Like the actual main, they've sort of gone for this stark white and black kind of very contrasty look that sort of swirls around and there's a bit of blur and stuff. But character models in the clubs look bloody awful. They really do look terrible. They've got the kind of atmosphere right, but just the way it's done is just like faces look completely like goblin-esque and really low detail models. It doesn't run at the frame rate of the background is kind of Rock Band speed rather than Guitar Hero's nice and slick look. So it just seems weird. It's like why like this is the Hero series. Why have they gone for a shit look rather than something that they already got right in earlier games? So that's a bit odd.
It doesn't.
I know it's not important to the game
matter,
because it's the background, but it's still just weird.
Yeah, visual presentation is important. It's almost more important with a DJ Hero game than it is for a Guitar Hero game.
Because it gives you customization of your DJ and limited, I have to say, quite limited customization of your DJ because it's unlockable and stuff like that. It's not like full character creation like in Rock Band. It's limited sort of options and like pick your style. So you pick the enormous black guy. With a puffer jacket, naturally. And you can choose your headphones, so you pick some Dr. Dre beats. And you can even change your decks, so you can choose whether you want vinyls or fancy-looking CDJs and stuff like that. But it doesn't matter when they all look like shit.
True enough.
Yeah. So, yeah, the gameplay's good. The songs are great, actually. Has to be said, they're really quite interesting. There's a couple of mixes that don't work. Like, they try and mix... do you know Black and Gold was released a few years ago?
I don't like that song.
Which is a crap song, but it's got that awkward sort of like what I'd call a 3-beat, sort of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sort of stuff, and they try and mix it into something that's 4/4, and it's like that's a bit awkward. Doesn't quite work very well. It's one of the David Guetta mixes that I think he contributed to the game. It's a bit crap. Sorry,
David Guetta fail.
His mega mix, because he has a proper mega. Occasionally you get these DJ special mega mixes that are like 3 of the tracks, but they actually mix into each other properly.
That sounds good.
Which are they're nice. They're well done. And he does one of those, and his is one of the better ones that I've played so far. And then it ends up this shitter with Black and Gold. It's like, oh, what are you doing? So yeah, it's neat. I will play some more. It's something I can drop in and out of, which is nice.
Sweet. It's good to have that on the run.
Yeah. Seeing as I'm running out of actual sort of long-term console games at the moment.
Yeah, right. You're never running out of games.
No, but I'm running out of like games of length on the console that I could play. Unless I go... Because I do want to go back and do Uncharted 3 again. Just to justify
You get to the end of Final Fantasy 13.
Yes, I did.
Oh.
I finished that.
Oh, yeah. You're not going to play 13 too? No.
When it goes cheap.
Okay.
I can't. There's something about Final Fantasy that I can't justify buying.
I could lend you...
It's strange.
Wait for someone else.
If you're really running out...
Exactly. It's a good gift game.
Could lend you Assassin's Creed Brotherhood if you wish.
This is true. I probably should carry on with that. Yeah. And one of us should play Bayonetta.
Yeah.
Dan did, didn't he?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, did
we talked about it on the podcast several times.
Did we?
I didn't finish it though.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, that's completely the same.
I know, but we should finish it.
You can borrow it if you want.
Yeah, I probably should. So it looks...
It's pretty cool. It's
I'm getting the look. Is it because it's Bayonetta?
It's completely insane. And mental.
Boobs.
Described her legs as filth.
Well, her legs are her main weapon.
Her whole character is filth, but...
Like, when she does a power attack, all her clothes gradually fall off, because her clothes are made of her hair, right?
And her hair is her
magical.
Weapon.
Yeah. So the more powerful an attack, the less clothing she has. But she's awesome, though. She's like, actually, she's not...
She's a good character.
She is quite empowered, yeah. Like, there aren't any, like... The women in that universe are by far the most powerful.
That may only be the case, like, the perception, because, like, practically the first guy you see is that.
No, but all of them.
Idiot.
Yeah.
All of them are lame, though. Like, there aren't any, like, powerful. Well, if they. Anyway.
Most of them are just demons. Or angels or whatever.
Yeah.
Creepy things.
Anyway.
Baby heads.
And of course, Bayonetta is very English.
For some reason, yeah. For a Platinum game. Well, Platinum don't seem to like embracing their Japanesiness that much, do they? They make Japanese games, but then set them in very
Yeah, but
Western
they're still
culture.
totally Japanese.
I know.
In every way.
Well, that's the thing, it's like, just like Bayonetta. Let's make it English, but then have J-pop and very Japanese style fighting mechanics. It's the same with like Vanquish. It's like it's a very Japanese take on the third person shooter, but we'll set it in a very Americanized America versus Russia sort of storyline.
Yeah, they're a bit strange. They like a lot of American culture stuff, but through a weird twisted lens. Don't they?
Which is neat, but it's still a bit strange sometimes. It's Platinum's thing, I think, maybe, that they do the sort of...
It's like Ace Combat, for example. All the jets are F-16s and stuff, because Japan don't have any domestic ones.
Well, it's Mad World is very American as well, isn't it, actually, thinking about it? But with, like, Japanese comic book art style.
So in Ace Combat, they just have F-15s attacking giant monster planes or something. It's like, what? Like, American, but with a weird Japanese twist. Yeah, it's typical. So, yes. Yes, but I think we should move on.
I think I'm done.
Yes. Zachary Burgess.
You got like 20 minutes. Go.
The burger. What have you been playing? You haven't got long.
So I know. Well, luckily I haven't got that many things to I guess. Although I probably could talk about them for a long time, in theory. First, we should probably say that we went back and tried playing more Jamestown again.
Yeah!
Because we can't fucking do the last boss on Divine. And it's like, you need to be able to do it to unlock Judgment. And Judgment sounds hilarious, just because of its name. Judgment.
You know it's just going to be harder.
Yeah. But it's like, how can they possibly make it harder? There's already so many villains.
It just times the bullets by 2.
Or make them move twice as fast.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because we got stuck on one of the levels for a long time.
The second level.
Yeah, in Divine. And then I tried it at home by myself, and it was like, wow, I can do this quite easily. It's like, so what is different in 2-player? I was trying to work it out. It's like, it doesn't seem like, it's like the patterns aren't different or anything. I think everything just moves slightly faster. Or something.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
That was kind of weird. But we still haven't done that. Last goddamn boss. It's like, we can get to the boss.
Things are harder to kill in 2-player.
Well, yeah, that is also, they do take more damage. It's like, we can get to the boss with both credits intact, sometimes, but we can't make it. That boss is way ridiculous.
It's tough. It's very tough.
So that's Jamestown.
Yeah.
It's still awesome, though. People should make more old school shooters, damn it.
Goddamn bullet hell.
They're fucking amazing.
It's retarded.
It is, but
yeah.
I can't combat that, but somehow Jamestown, I think, is the best modern example of it, actually, to be honest.
Is it better than the character, do you think, as a game?
See, this is the thing. I think if a Carragher was made with modern... for a modern console, because the problem with a Carragher is that, and all cave shooters, is that they're made for vertical screen arcade things. And it's like, and while Jamestown is a vertical shooter, it has widescreen presentation.
Yeah.
So it works on most screens. Like, you know, a Carragher on Explar, don't get me wrong, it is great, but unless you can turn your screen into vertical orientation, you're probably missing a lot of the detail. And the GameCube version had the same problem. And it's like, it's a great game. Don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic game, but I think that it's not really that playable in the home.
I've got one at work. I've got one of those a couple of those Dell monitors that are full HD, but it will twist. So that might be interesting to try a bullet hell shooter. Screen completely twisted over.
Yeah, my little one will. I think I may have mentioned this ages ago on the cast, but my little monitor is the one that twists. But it stand gets in the way, so it will twist to a portrait view. But I have to have it tilted back at like a ridiculous angle. It's a shit design.
I'm starting to think the best option because I currently have 2 full HD monitors that work widescreen next to each other, but I have one as my main monitor and the other one as the one to the side. But you need to twist your head quite a long way to see the things that are on the right hand edge of that one. So, and the way I've got it at work is I have a widescreen monitor and I have 2 4:3s either side, and that's quite nice.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm trying to think what is the actual optimal, and I'm starting to think what might be quite cool is to have a widescreen normal orientation in the middle, and then 2 vertical ones either side that were aligned to the tops of them were at the top of the widescreen one, but you had extra below. So then you got your, say you're playing a game or whatever you're doing, or you're visual studioing on the main one, and then you have websites on the side ones, but you have loads of scroll space, so you don't have to, because more of the website is showing.
Yeah, you know what, that's probably a good layout.
And with 2 of those, you'd be like, whoa!
Think about it, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, so that's a potential awesome future. Anyway, as you were.
Yeah.
Carry on, Zach.
That was Jamestown.
Jamestown. Woo!
There's not really much more to say about it.
Make more shooters for Steam.
God damn it. Or just make an expansion pack for that.
Yeah.
A real expansion pack, not just some ships. Cheap.
Cheap, I'm a bird.
Cheap motherfucker.
Cheap motherfucker.
Yeah, freaking cheap motherfucker. That was the one.
What was that from?
That was you drawing, I think.
This was this time when we did an experiment with open canvas, wasn't it? That we could.
Oh yeah.
Which was if you're not aware, was like a
collaborative drawing tool.
Yeah, so everyone could like have access to this one canvas and draw on it at the same time. So me and Zach used to do this thing where we'd move the canvas so we could only see one half of it, mark out some joining areas, and then and then purposefully draw a character saying, right, the head needs to go here, and then of course our two drawing styles would clash, and it would look quite funny. And of course that meant that then the rest of the picture was for us to just do interpretive additions to the world. And so Zach, for some reason, on one of them drew, I think it was with the Sonic one, wasn't it? He drew a flicky saying, freaking cheap, motherfucker!
No, it was like the bird escaping from a destroyed robot.
Yeah.
And it was pissed off, obviously, because it had just been inside a robot. Freaking cheap, motherfucker!
Anyway.
There's an Eggman in his classic Eggomatic shit, which just looked like it was taking a dump. Right? So he's sort of just...
Cherry bomb.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck that was about.
Cherry bomb.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what was going on there. Looked like a Segway or something.
It did, yeah. It looked like a bloke on a Segway.
Yeah. That was done. Anyway. What else did I play? I played some more Minecraft. Because I was playing that stupid Skyblock level where you just start on a floating island in the middle of nowhere, and you just have to, like, the challenge is, like, to build various things, get certain reasons, because it limits what resources you can get, because obviously you can't, there's no ore or that sort of stuff, but it's like, you just have to try and get all the things that you can get, and it, like, gives you a chest with a few things in. So the first thing you have to do is, like, build an infinite cobblestone generator so you can actually have a space to do things on. That sort of thing.
Can it detect when you've completed a task?
No.
Then? Or you just have to know that you've done it?
Yeah, just tick it off.
Alright.
Make various weird buildings floating in the middle of nowhere and try not to fall off.
Classic version.
Yeah, I didn't fall off. I was okay. It was fine. Although it still kind of freaks me out when you're hanging over the edge. Like, as soon as you hold down shift and like start, you have to hang over the edge in order to see the side of the block so you can place another block next to it, obviously, to extend the floating platform. Because, it places it on the side that you're looking at. So you have to hang over the edge above a giant infinite void. It's like, holy shit, vertigo or whatever. Even though it's just blue. There's nothing there to look at to signify any kind of distance. It's still kind of weird.
Not like layers of cloud and stuff.
No. So yeah, that was Minecraft, I guess. I didn't really do much more than that. I haven't actually still played any further in proper Minecraft to try and get to the end or whatever.
Have you still not got to the end and killed the dragon?
No, can't be arsed. It's too much effort.
It's a waste of time anyway. What's the point? It's not the point of Minecraft.
No.
Although there was the worst interview in Eurogame I read yesterday where the guy who made Fortress Craft was trying to defend himself against it being called a clone.
Right.
It's obviously a clone. But the things he was saying were so brazen and like so ridiculous. He was like, yeah, the point of Minecraft is to mine out the ore and stuff and get the stuff so you can get to the end and kill the dragon. That's the point of Minecraft. Mine is like a creative tool where you can like make houses.
Like, no,
what are you talking about, you idiot?
They only added that stuff like
2 days ago.
Like after you released yours, you
And like Minecraft's creative mode is that. It's like that is half the game to some people.
I don't know what the hell his problem was. And then it was like, you can't call me ripping off Minecraft because Minecraft like ripped off Infiniminer and nobody cares about that.
Well, it did, but that's true. But...
yeah. By Zachtronic Industries, who went on to make Space Game.
Yeah.
Really?
Somewhat. Sort of.
It was like Dwarf Fortress, which I'm about to talk about. It was also pretty much inspired by various other things along the same lines, although some of those were his own games, I guess.
So I guess Zachtronic aren't particularly pissed for some reason.
Well, he did say at one point where it's like, oh man, Minecraft made so much money, that's kind of annoying, but whatever. He doesn't mind that much.
Sure, fuck it.
That would be quite annoying.
I'm feeling
But it's not that
Minor wasn't the most fully featured product. I think they released.
Well, it was. Yeah, it was. It was sort of like Minecraft's creative mode, only even more simple. Where like you can pick up blocks and you can put down blocks.
And
That's about
They
it.
started supporting it after a month or something. Apparently, after it was released.
Well, it's just it's just basically a tech demo. More or
Yeah,
less.
just a tech demo thing. But it did look a bit like Minecraft, obviously. Blocks.
Squares.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So then Dwarf Fortress is what I've also been playing because the new
there's a
version
big
finally
update.
fucking came out.
Woo!
So it's been like a year.
I can't really woo that.
How can you not woo that?
It's fucking Dwarf Fortress.
It's freaking ridiculous and awesome.
It's funny, but I still can't ruin it. I can't woo it.
Can't ruin it.
I can ruin it. No, I can't woo it.
He won't woo it. He won't try and get it into bed.
No, definitely not. All that ASCII art's that's gonna be sharp.
This is true.
Yeah, possibly. But yeah, I've been trying to play adventure mode because I've never friggin' played that. Well, I have tried playing adventure mode before.
That's the thing they've mostly updated.
Yeah, but now it's actually a thing you can play. It's like now it's actually a mode that makes sense and has like goals. It's sort of like Minecraft, I guess. They had made it actually a sort of capable system of doing things, apart from certain things are still dumb and broken and will be patched.
You were playing it just now, and it was reminding me of Skyrim. Mostly, it was like going to a random cave, which the marker tells you to go to.
Yeah,
Kill
a dude, nick a load of stuff. Yeah, it's like Skyrim, but without the graphics.
like it's got goals and shit, quests that tell you to go to specific places and
Yeah.
kill specific things, and you can find loot, which is actual loot in the world. So yeah,
When I say it's like Skyrim, I mean it's like Dungeons and Dragons.
well, yeah, basically. But yeah, so I've been playing the adventure mode, and it's more playable now. Especially, well, the main thing about it that makes it a lot better is targeted attacks. Because before when you hit attack on an enemy, it just does a generic attack on a random body part. Which, because Dwarf Fortress is that ridiculously realistic, it does mean that, like, a creature with 10 fingers and 10 toes, that's 20 targets, and they're all weighted equally. So it's not very likely you're actually going to hit an important body part, you're just as likely to hit a finger. Which is not very helpful. But now with target attacks, you can just go, like, attack the head, attack the head, attack the head.
But you can still choose to attack the ring finger on the left hand.
Yeah.
If you wish.
Yeah, if you want to. Or
What
the
if that-
eyelids.
Fuck your island.
Actually, I was about to say, does the targeted system actually reduce the complexity in a way? Like, because the more bizarre stuff doesn't happen, or does it have a concept of like if you slightly whiff the shot or something that it like you miss the head, but you catch his ear?
Well, one time, maybe, but then there was one time where I did sort of the inverse of that.
Seems to be some swelling around the left eye.
There was one time where I did sort of the inverse of that, where you get, like, it rates the different attacks by how difficult they are and how squarely the shot will land, so you do more damage on more square shots.
Mm.
And then there's another thing where it's just like, randomly, certain attacks will be easy. It's just like a certain amount of randomness to like the stance and stuff. Right. And it does actually track like which direction you're facing and stuff now. So it's like you do attack people from behind and like which direction you're swinging is tracked as well. That does make it kind of difficult because you can't tell. It's an icon. You have to pay attention to the text to tell you which side you're standing on or whatever. But you get these random attacks where you get basically a free hit almost on a certain body part. And most of the time those appear on like a scratch or a punch or a bite. And it's like, I don't want to do that, I want to stab them. That's much more effective.
I think the fights kind of remind me of the football matches in Championship Manager. Where it's all text, but you kind of know like, very complex things can happen.
Yeah. But then there's like this one time I had a free attack on, like, it was targeting someone's teeth. It was like, and it was a sword attack. Like, it was a stab. And so I was like, well, I can totally get a free hit on this guy's teeth. But then I just hit him in the head. I hit the teeth, I hit him in the head, and he died anyway. So it's like, oh, I guess that's the same as attacking the head. Convenient. Because I guess I couldn't target my shot quite precisely enough to just hit his teeth. Although apparently there was a bug, which I think has been patched today, where animals with a lot of teeth, because the teeth are only count as grouped together, basically. So you can't really target individual teeth. It's like target the front teeth or target the back teeth. But creatures with a lot of teeth, if you severed the front teeth, you basically just got a teeth explosion because all the individual teeth just go out of his mouth, which is really funny. That's a classic Dwarf Fortress bit of game design, that is.
Oh god.
Tooth explosions. So yeah, that's still ridiculous. And wandering around in adventure mode, stabbing things. And it's a bit dumb because for the first few times I tried to play it, I just got murdered repeatedly because you don't start with armour, which is a big problem. Oh. You start with some relatively good skills because you get to pick what skills you can put in. But you don't have any armour, so you can't really take hits. And a lot of the enemies seem to be quite powerful. And I was like, how the fuck do you get anywhere in this? Because it's like, do I just have to go out into the wild and just like stab pigs or something until my skill goes up?
Yeah.
Pick up meat and then sell it for cash and then buy armour or something. But then I discovered that one of the other big parts of this update was they introduced the idea of having were animals, where it's like werewolves or other creatures.
Were bees.
Were hamsters. Yeah. But so you get them, and I realised that if you go and find the layers of these night beasts during the day, they aren't transformed and they're just a guy, and they don't have any armor, so they're quite easy to kill. And it's like, free experience and stuff, great.
Well, if they're a hamster, they're just a hamster.
No, they're just a dude.
What?
Were hamster.
I see. They turn it into a massive hamster.
Yeah,
I see. That's bizarre.
But yeah, they're just dudes during the day, though. They are, like, unusually agile dudes who can take quite a lot of damage, considering they don't have any armour, but they're not going to do much to you. Unless they bite you, of course, then you might be fucked.
Or you might turn into a werewolf.
Yeah, but that can happen. You can contract that disease, and then you can be a werehamster.
A whamster. Can you control when you turn into a hamster?
I think so. But everyone else just attacks you, which probably makes it quite difficult to survive. And giant, like all the standard Dwarf Fortress ridiculous creatures, where they put in yet more ridiculous creatures, and all of them have like giant versions, and were versions for a lot of things, and zombie versions, and zombies are now proper, like, becoming a zombie is properly tracked, so like, even individual body parts can come back as zombies. And like, I know my arm's been cut off, and now it's a zombie arm, and now it's strangling me, oh shit!
That's awesome. That is one crazy game, but we should remind people that it's ASCII art central. And
the interface hasn't got any easier.
No.
It's like when you're doing the targeted attacks in Adventure Mode, you're like, you press Shift A to do a targeted attack, then it gives you a list of everything that's in range, which is normally only like 3 or 4 things, obviously, and then you just hit like A, B, or C to get one of those. And then it brings up the giant fucking list of everything you can target.
Yeah.
Which is split into like 3 or 4 pages, and there's like 20, well not quite, like 15 of these things per page, so you scroll through them, and then it's like A to O, press one of these keys to target one of these individual body parts.
Serious.
And then you get what type of attack you want to do, like a stab, or a slash, or a slap, or a punch, or a kick. And those are all on the button. Then you eventually do an attack.
Does it save the state of your whole game, or do you have to play a whole...
No, you can save the adventurers just like you can with the fortresses.
Right.
It just saves it into the world file. And of course, if your adventurer dies, you can use that world again and go on a quest to find your other adventurer with another adventurer.
Oh, I see.
Or go on an adventure to your old fort if you had a destroyed fort, and then you can go on an adventure and go and see it.
Huh.
The world persists.
That's quite cool, actually.
That's the whole point of that legend screen, basically, where it records all the historical information.
Hmm.
That actually counts for Fortress mode and Adventure mode as well.
I've said this before, but this game would be so, actually really, really very awesome if it had graphics.
Doesn't need graphics, though.
I don't know.
It needs a tile set.
I'm not going to play
it needs an interface upgrade.
Yeah.
It needs slightly less ridiculous buttons that you have to remember which button does what.
Even if it was fairly simplistic, I mean, we could talk like Roller Coaster Tycoon style graphics.
Yeah. Well,
then it would be just so it's accessible to the masses.
They did do that
tile set.
They did that external program where it could read the memory and it created an isometric view, but that couldn't do it in real time.
Oh, right.
It was like, that was quite nice for
maybe somebody will
visualising
do
it.
it. Anyway, we're running out of time.
Imagine if they took the concept, if a publisher took interest in Dwarf Fortress.
He won't sell it. That's that's what he's always said.
It's ultra indie. I don't know how he makes money. Oh, donations.
Yeah, he still makes money. I wonder how much he's going to get this month now that the release is actually out.
It's a very strange...
Because it was getting down to like only $3,000 a month or something.
He's literally like a genius, isn't he? That guy? He's like super clever or something, but he just sits at home and drinks Mountain Dew and progress Dwarf Fortress.
Hot Pockets?
Yeah,
probably.
No, you don't. I mean, you eat Hot Pockets.
You
don't drink them.
Yeah, but that's what sustains him, I'm sure. sort of very strange because there's that huge interview with him in the New York Times, isn't there?
Yeah.
A big article, and he sounded very strange, but cool game, sort of. I'll probably never play it.
No.
Maybe I could, yeah.
You'd like it for auto hockey. Auto hockey, everything.
If I get to auto hockey stuff, I'm there, basically. Is that it?
I don't know. Is
Yeah.
that some kind of sign if you end up finding yourself doing that? The sign is like, I need to do something else.
Apparently it's time. Apparently that is it because we haven't got any time.
Well, I just use.
I've got 2 minutes.
I use auto hotkey to like do some macros that I use for programming, but Paul just uses Vim because he's like a bastard. He's like the fastest typist I've ever seen, isn't he? It's like, and he comes to my PC. He's like, he starts trying to regex to a point in the code using the Vim thing. He's like, oh no, what? And he just starts typing into it. It's like, damn, this isn't Vim. This is retarded.
I still can't help but think that like, they're sort of like, I don't know, to me, like, that level of text editing craziness is just a step too hardcore for me.
Vim is insane. It's like craziness. Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay.
Oh wait, maybe.
It's a text editor.
There's the two. There's like the war between Vim and Emacs among programmers, but like Vim, like by default, none of the letter keys actually type.
Yeah.
You have to go into a mode to type because they're all involved with moving the cursor. So you can very efficiently move to very specific points in your text file, and then you press the I'm going into edit mode, and then you type, and then you go back into the movement mode.
I still think if you need to do that, use the mouse.
Yeah, they're like no mice ever. I shall never use a mouse.
I know it's not as quick, but you know, it makes the day go by.
Waste time.
That's true. Yeah, if you want to lower your efficiency, use a mouse. Fair dues.
Don't ever put me on the marketing team for Razer or something. It's like, use a mouse, make time go by.
I can respect that.
Anyway, wrap it up.
Thanks for joining us for this Saladcast episode 51. Is that correct?
51.
I missed the big 50, but never mind.
No, we'll do the 64th extravaganza.
Exactly. So thanks. See you next time. Bye.
Dog